Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to, as you know, another collab today. So, the anniversary was literally not long ago, right? We had the anniversary, and there was a collab before that too. So it's basically a collab, then an anniversary, and then another collab. I mean, it wasn't exactly like that, but since the last collab, it hasn't actually been that long if you think about it. But yeah, I kind of expected this collab in Last Cloudia eventually, because the Grand Summoners game, which I believe is also made by the same people, has had a Overlord collab. They've had that before, so I was expecting this to be in Last Cloudia eventually. So no surprise there to me, but it is a little bit of a surprise that we have a collab so soon, and there is definitely quite a lot to do today. So this will be definitely a longer stream than usual because we have to cover part 1 and part 2. I did ask people, just in case anyone wanted me to separate these two streams to make it be easier for people to, you know, if they want to look at part 1 specifically or part 2 specifically, but doing it all in one stream does make it easier for me, and you can still just go to the timestamp, so I think doing it like this, people seem like this is fine, so let's start this right off with having a look at the news real quick, and then we will start talking about the units and the banners and everything, because since we do have part 1 and part 2 today, it's going to take quite a long time to talk through literally everything that this update has, because going through part 1 and part 2 at the same time just takes a long time, but it is pretty fun. I do like when these types of updates come out, because having 2 banners and stuff is just, it's a lot more content, you know, like technically double the amount just because you have 2 units, 2 banners, 2 arcs, you know. It is sometimes a bad thing because obviously crystals is a problem, but let's talk about the gachas soon, have a look at those in a moment, but let's just have a quick look at anything in the news just to make sure that everyone's aware of what is in this update. I don't think there's anything crazy. Today is the 7th of November, so just have a quick look at that, just to check anything. The next unit for part 3 is going to be next week, so another stream will be for that unit, of course. Obviously we've got everything regarding the collab is there, which we'll have a look at in a moment. I would assume, apart from the collab, there isn't that much else going on. Tower of Trials Dark, obviously this is just going to be another easy Tower of Trials. I'm not a huge fan of these just because you can just use Trishula and they're way too easy. And there's only 10 floors, so these are just too easy. I wish there was more to it, but at least it's something, I guess. Summoned Beasts, there are some nice features here which I do quickly want to talk about. So added a feature to level up an arc multiple times at once. This one's pretty nice. Like, these are small improvements, but these are all, you know, very useful to have, and they do make the game experience better, like quality of life features. We love seeing that. We had a bunch of those in the anniversary, and that's why it was a great anniversary, because of those features, like being able to teach multiple arcs, learn multiple skills on units was amazing, and skipping battles. Now you can level up arcs multiple times at once. This will save time, and everyone loves saving time, so gotta love that. You can instantly just slide the bar, probably, and then just get it up to the level that you want, which is very nice. A feature to favorite units and arcs. This could come in handy, like if there's some arcs and units that you use a hell of a lot, then you can favorite those. I think this will be most useful for arcs, honestly, because there are so many arcs in the game, and there are definitely certain arcs that I used a lot more than others, so you could just favorite them, and that just sounds like a pretty useful feature to have. Like, it's something small, but it's still going to be useful, I think. I haven't got around to using it yet, but I do want to mess around with that at some point to favorite some arcs that I use pretty much all the time. Favorite feature to skills as well, so you can favorite skills. I think this would be nice. I haven't thought about exactly what skills I'd want to favorite yet. I haven't really messed around with it or thought about it yet, but I still think it's a nice feature to have just because it can save time. if you know there's a bunch of skills that you like using on multiple units, you can just favorite them and then easily go just to your favorites and equip those on all your units if you want to. So it is, all of these features are basically just saving time, and we love that. It's always nice to have. And on the set skill screen, you'll be able to add favorites in groups of 5 different colors. Interesting. Haven't messed around with it yet, but I have seen it. There's a bunch of colors and the different groups of favorites. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, you can like have a group for your spells or something, or a group for magic damage spells, a group for damage mitigation, you know, something like that. Yeah, love to see more quality of life updates. They're always great. Like, some people just don't really care too much about them, and they look more for like more content in the game, but these are still very useful to have in games like these. Like, every single game loves quality of life. Like, it's the most important feature in games, honestly. Added favorite to the unit arc and skill set filter items. Sure. On the unit detail screen, the attributes of the unit skills and special are displayed with icons. I've seen this. This can be somewhat useful. Like, I think it's more useful for the newer players, because they will pull a unit and then they'll see the icon for the elements that they are, and I think that will just make it a bit easier for those types of players. Or if you are trying to use an older unit and you forget exactly what their kit has, you can just have a look and you can see the icon there, so it just instantly tells you what element they are. So again, it's saving time, and it can be useful for newer players, I think, but isn't anything major really. Skills / special attribute to the unit filter item, so you can filter by attributes, I believe, which is going to be nice. Yeah, a controversial feature is adjustments for Arc 1 main story quests. This I haven't really talked about. It kind of sucks, honestly, because they're basically cutting content from the game, and you can no longer get these crystals from the story anymore because they removed it from the game. Because they're saying it as a good thing because they want to speed up the process of a newer player progressing through the Arc 1 main story, which, yes, that makes sense in that sense, but you do get less crystals from that, so it isn't all positive, really. I would have preferred to have all of the stages there, but I guess there's probably a reason behind it. Like, it takes less storage if you remove it from the game and stuff like that, so I don't know. It's not a great thing, but if you like it, that it speeds it up a little bit, then sure. Improve the soul tank so you can now earn souls in places such as quests or tours. So basically, yeah, exceeding the max capacity of the soul tank. That's how I've got more than a max capacity right now, because of this. You still can't collect them from the soul tank, but you can get them from stages. So any souls you get from stages will now go past the cap, which is useful because then you can stack up more souls. It just helps a little bit. Button that will bring you to material alchemy for missing materials. Sure, that might come in handy. I think this is more again for newer players. It just makes it a lot easier to, you know where you get these materials from, so it does save some time, which is nice. And now, improve the battle so that faint icon appears. So when a unit is fainted, you know, they usually had just stars around, right? Well, now it's a icon, so you can properly see when they are fainted, which I do think is a good improvement, because sometimes it's quite difficult to see if the unit is fainted or not, just because of all the effects going on, especially if there's a Telestio skill 3 going on or something that takes up the entire screen. You can barely see what's going on when that happens, and it's difficult to see if the unit is fainted, so this will help. I do like that. And one thing they said here in very small writing, addition for a third defense party preset for guild battles. So you can have another preset for guild battles. Like, they should have had that ages ago, honestly. They should have had more improvements with guild battles, but this, I mean, it's not really that much of an addition, honestly. I wish they would add more to guild battles. Multiple animations are now able to be skipped by tapping. Sure. Start the battle, win arena guild battles, earning login bonuses. So this basically just speeds up the game. You're able to skip animations, so we love seeing that too. Improved performance during battle. You know, I don't know how much that has improved, I can't say, but I would hope that this would apply to like Android users just to make it a bit faster, but I'm just coping because I use Android, so, and I know how much better iOS is for like time trials, but I'm just hoping it's a significant improvement, but it's probably not. I'm not expecting much from it. And then, isn't really much else, I think. Ryvern and Nael has Godforge for their paid equipments now. I haven't had a look at them yet, but I'm not that excited about them. Like, maybe Ryvern's could be decent, but I'll have to see. I'll have to check that out. Hit counts may decrease. Yeah, so that's basically everything in the maintenance notice. Now, apart from that, there's also obviously the collab, so let's have a look at that quickly. Today, we've got 2 units and 2 arcs. There are 3 in total of each. We'll have a look at these later, but the artwork, they always do a very good job with the artwork. It looks great. I'm wondering if she's going to be, what element she'll be. We don't know yet. That's going to be next week. Maybe fire or something, I don't know. Can only guess. I don't know in the moment. But they always look nice. Up to 63 gacha spins. Well, technically it's more than 60 in total because you can also include the tickets from the promotion that you get in the gift box and stuff like that, so it is a bit more than that. Event boss, this one looks cool. I would assume this boss is going to appear in the time trial. It most likely is going to. If you don't kill the boss fast enough, it does do an animation. I've noticed that. More equipments and stuff. Cool. Normal things, really. Gacha that guarantees a unit / arc. This one's quite interesting. I do want to talk about this a bit more when I go to the shop a bit later. So I will talk about this a bit later when we go to the shop. But it is interesting because this is the first time they've done something like this. I don't know if it's worth doing, but I will look at that a bit later. Obviously we've got the events, which has obviously the normal stuff. It's kind of a basic event. I was hoping for a bit more, like a Sun Vessel Island or something, some kind of world map, and some collab music would have been nice, just to add to the, you know, atmosphere of the collab. You know, I like hearing the music, and having a world map just feels a lot better, but it just feels like this event is kind of doesn't have as much effort put into it just because there isn't a world map and there isn't any collab music. I like seeing those two things specifically, but it isn't a terrible event because there's still some nice rewards you can get from it, I guess. It's just there isn't much to it. Yeah, the actual event itself is kind of boring. I really like the world maps, they're my favourite events. The Sonic events, I love that one. Sonic had a lot of effort put into it, but this event, this collab, doesn't have very much effort put into it. Obviously, they probably put a lot of effort into the units and stuff, like always, they always put a lot of effort into these, because the artwork and stuff always looks amazing, but the event itself just kind of, there isn't much to it really, it's just very boring. But it's a normal event, you just do stages, there isn't really much to it. Unit test play quest, we'll definitely do that later. Training field, event equipments. Yeah, there's collab credential 1 and 2 and 3. There's 3 different ones, which kind of sucks. Login bonus, you can get some tickets from here, so make sure to try and get these. first before you spend any crystals. That's up to you though. I know I won't be. I'm definitely going to be spending some crystals later, but if you want to try and be smart, then make sure you get all these first before spending crystals, or at least try and get these before spending very much, because you never know, you could get something from one ticket. It can happen. Had it happen before. And then part 3 also has some tickets. Part 1 has less tickets. It's got 3. This one has more, well, just for one part specifically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tickets here. I've going to part 1. 1, 2, 3. This has got 3 of each. 3 for each part in this login bonus. This one gives 5 for part 3, so technically getting a little bit more for part 3, but we don't know how many tickets they're going to be giving for part 3 in the event, but at least a 10-4 ticket and a couple more probably. In general, we usually get less part 3 tickets, because you don't get... Actually, I think it's fine. Collab challenge, yeah, you can get some good stuff from that, so make sure to do those. Gachas, yeah, there's a lot of gachas going on right now. There's a part 1 gacha, and there's a part 2 gacha, and a part 3 gacha will be coming next week. Ticket gacha, the unit and the Ark ticket gacha is the they're only paid tickets that you can get in the shop, which I will talk about when I get to the shop, because then I will know the price of it and if it's worth it, but it's probably not. So this can guarantee you one of the units, this can guarantee you one of the arcs, but only from part 1 and part 2, and it's random, so I don't know yet. Training spaces, packs and stuff and things, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, here, but I'll look at that later. So that's pretty much everything from the news. There is a good amount of stuff there, but obviously most of it is to do with the collab itself, a bunch of banners that's going on, and a couple of quality of life features, which are always nice to have. So it does have some nice stuff in this update, but there isn't as much to do because the event itself is kind of boring. So it may feel like there's less to do in this update, which there is a lot less to do, but there is still some nice updates. Let's go over to the units next. This is going to take quite a long time, just because there are 2 banners. But let's start with part 1 first. So part 1, we've got Ainz and the Overlord Ark. Let's have a look at the unit first. I think he could be pretty damn good. I am more excited about him, honestly, just because I love mages. Mages are usually the class that I use in like RPG games, but in this game I just like mages. They're just fun to me. So he could have some potential, and I know some people are going to be trying to compare him to Lilahar because they're like, oh, is he worth getting if I already have Lilahar, or blah blah, that stuff. Well, I don't know yet because I haven't even talked about his kit, so let's have a look. I highly doubt it, by the way, because Lilahar is incredibly strong, and they are going to be different types of units. Here's an undead type, which makes sense. Like, obviously he's going to be undead. It just looks like undead. His sprite does look very big, which is cool. Love seeing that. Stats are actually pretty nice. High intelligence. Obviously he's going to be a mage. He's got giant staff and high intelligence, of course. His physical damage probably isn't going to be that great because he is trying to be a mage, but he does have a little bit in his kit for physical damage, but I wouldn't worry about it too much, just like Lilahar. She is kind of similar, where she has some physical damage, like a little bit, but it isn't really worth focusing on. I think this is the same scenario where it's just not really worth focusing on that much. Attribute resistances look alright, but minus 35 to light is quite big. Plus 35 to dark is pretty good too, though. So it's not terrible. It's just the minus to light may be a problem. Like, I don't know how tanky he's gonna be. Probably not that tanky, but I don't know. Just trying to think about it. But light will definitely be his weakness for sure. Element resistances look actually pretty solid. Could have been a little bit better, but having nil to silence already for a mage is perfect. I love seeing that. And nil to curse as well can be useful. He doesn't have any stun resistance though, and he doesn't have any illness resistance, so you might want some stun resistance. That might be important, but you don't have to worry about silence that much. Well, you will need a little bit if you're going up against La Bref, because her anima can reduce silence resistance and curse resistance by 1, so you may need to worry about that a bit in PvP, but you don't have to worry about it really in PvE content. So let's have a look at his abilities. These are kind of interesting. I don't know how well they're going to do, and I don't know if you really should worry about them too much just because he's going to be a mage, so I won't really talk about these that much. I'll just kind of go through them quickly because I don't think they're the main focus of his kit. They're just kind of there. They don't really add much to his magic potential, so I don't think you're really going to be using them that much unless it turns out that you could maybe using the physical DPS, but I doubt that. Skill 1, frontal long range combo attack. So this is a non-attribute attack and it's 9 hits, which is alright. Skill 2 is a medium area long range thunder combo attack around the target. So all of these are long range attacks, which makes sense because he's a mage. And this one is thunder, which has 16 hits, which is not bad. Again, skill 3, wide area long range dark combo attack around the target. So this one is dark. So you've got non-attribute, thunder, and dark. Skill 3 is 20 hits, which could have been a bit higher, but it's kind of average, I guess. And then his special is a fire attack to all enemies, which is going to be 46 hits. Could be okay because it's against all enemies, and if he has enough special damage cap, then it could be solid because, you know, hitting all enemies could be nice. But yeah, like I said, there isn't really much here, and I think you shouldn't really worry about this too much because he's mostly going to be a mage, so I'll just leave that there. They kind of, they look decent, but I don't really want to talk about him too much just because he's a mage. So let's get over to the traits now, because these are definitely a lot more interesting all the time. So trait 1, continuous grand aura and ultra advanced circle. Love seeing that. Grand aura, obviously 35% intelligence buff continuously, is great to have on a mage, of course. Ultra advanced circle is just MP regen, which is obviously nice to have. Battle start, for each other living ally, boost your magic attack damage and damage cap and cut damage taken. So for each other living ally, you get maximum of plus 60% damage for your magic and 27,000 damage cap and minus 30% damage taken. So the thing about this though is it is maxed out at 9 allies. Obviously you can't have 9 in the battle, right? But the thing about this is if an ally is a grotesque type unit, which includes undead, creature, beast, insect, stones, spirits, and dragons, then it counts as 3. So technically you would want every single unit in your team to be one of these types, and then you can get the maximum bonus from this. But if you don't have any of these types in your team, then you're only going to be at 3, which you won't get that much bonus from this. So it kind of sucks a little bit because you have to be these types, and most units in the game are not these types. But the good thing is you can easily put a mimicry on, but again, the bad thing about that is you're making your units vulnerable to those types of slayers. I know those slayers aren't used that often in PvP, but it still kind of sucks that you're making yourself vulnerable to a potential slayer. Like, let's say you have a unit like Jian who nullifies Soldier Slayer or Knight Slayer, whatever she is. If you put on Undead type, then you're making her vulnerable to Undead Slayer, of course. So it isn't always a good thing. Like, kind of have to think about it a little bit, because if they nullify Slayer, then you don't really want to put typing on them. But if they do already have a you know, human type and they can't nullify the Slayer, then you might as well put on a mimicry of one of these types, like for 2 SC, giving Ainz more damage and some damage mitigation and damage cap is probably worth it. So building a team around his maximum potential, definitely try and get these types in your team. You're definitely going to need mimicry skills, but you only need one on each unit, so it isn't that big of a deal, honestly. But just make sure to remember this, because if you forget about this completely, then you're missing out on a potential 60% damage, 27,000 damage cap, and minus 30% damage taken, so it is quite significant. That's everything for the trait 1. Honestly, isn't much to it, but it is pretty nice. Trait 2, quite a bit more to it. When skill/special attacking, okay, use intelligence and enemy minds to determine damage, sure. So strength won't do anything on this unit because it uses intelligence based, so to determine damage. Basically like a physical mage. I like using that term just because it's using intelligence to determine damage and the enemy mind to determine damage, basically like what a magic attack would do, but obviously still a physical attack. Physical and magic attack and special damage 30% and damage cap 10,000, just get that all the time. Love seeing that, so that's even more damage. On top of his trait 1, you know, that's actually pretty good damage. If you get the maximum 60% magic damage here, you can also get 30% more magic damage from this trait as well, so that's pretty nice. Damage taken from non-light attribute attacks minus 20%. I like seeing that because it's all attacks as long as it's not light, so that's pretty nice. And nullify insta-kill effects from enemies, excluding some of them. So I do like his traits, but honestly they're like quite simple. Like there's nothing that is a unique buff or anything. Trait 1 is very simple. Obviously you've got the effect for these types in your team. Trait 2, same kind of thing, it's very simple. It does have some effects that apply to physical damage, which is interesting, because this is like the only part in his kit that applies to physical damage. I don't think his skill is going to do very much damage, so I wouldn't worry about it. But the rest of it, for magic damage, it's pretty nice. So, I'll tell you something. I can't actually increase my volume because it's already at maximum volume, so my mic can't go louder than this. I physically can't increase it, which there's nothing I can do about that really. It's already at 100%, I can't go above 100%, I don't know anything to do about that. That's why I can't really do much about it. Yes, I do understand that it's a little bit low, but as long as you increase the volume, it shouldn't be an issue. But I can't increase the volume on my end. You're just going to have to increase it on your end just because I can't increase it at all. My mic doesn't go loud enough. I use a PlayStation 5 headset, but I can't increase it anymore in the settings for Streamlabs. It's already maximum, so it should be fine. Yeah, so far Ainz seems like a great mage, but we still need to go over the skills. The traits seem pretty nice, but obviously skills add a hell of a lot to the kit. So let's have a look. He has a lot of magic spells, interesting, and he also has a charisma. This charisma could be nice. All grotesque type allies get HP cap plus 3000 and physical damage plus 30%. This is a pretty nice charisma, honestly, because getting 30% physical damage against your entire team, well, to your entire team, as long as they are a grotesque type, is pretty nice. And obviously, if you're using Ainz, then you pretty much want to use a grotesque type unit, well, have a mimicry on all of your units in your team, just to benefit from, obviously, his trait 1, and also this charisma, so it is pretty nice synergy, I think. And actually, now I think about it, he would work well with Knuckles, because Knuckles is a beast type. So Knuckles will work very well with Ainz because he is a good physical damage dealer and is already a grotesque type unit. So Knuckles will do quite well with Ainz, I think. That would be a nice synergy a little bit, but you don't have to use him. That's just something I'm thinking about. You can easily just use a Mimicry on any unit that you want to and get the benefit from this, so it's quite nice. Now we get onto the magic spells. So first of all, we've got Absolute Zero, Nether Tempest, and X Radia, which are all spells we've seen before, but we do have two new ones here. Let's go to Hellfire first. So Hellfire is a tier magic. Tier magic is just the name that they are calling this collab magic spells. So these collab magic spells are called tier magic. That's just what they're called. So this one is a powerful medium area fire attack, and it has damage cap plus 15,000. The hit counts of this spell is 27. 27 is okay, considering the animation of the spell. It looks pretty good. The only bad thing about this spell is it costs way too damn much. Same thing with True Dark, it costs a hell of a lot to use it. That's just the main negative thing I have about these spells, is they just cost too much. Yeah, I always love collab magic spells because they have potential to be useful in the future, especially if they are learnable on the Arks, but these aren't, unfortunately. But maybe part 3 Ark will have them learnable, but I doubt it. Things like the Dr. Stone collab, they had 3,700 years as a learnable spell, which is still used to this day on units like Lilhar because it's a very good spell. I love those collab spells just because they are completely new. No other unit in the game has them, and they're just new animation to see. And when you use mages a lot, the typical normal spells get kind of boring because you see them all the time, but seeing a new type of animation is always fun to see. Yeah, I hope they have good damage modifiers then. Yes, it seems like it has good hit counts and some good damage cap. I'm just hoping it hits hard. Like, some very solid damage on these spells would be nice to see. If that is the case, then it could be pretty damn strong in PvP potentially, but we'll have to see on that because I don't know yet. I'm just hoping. But yeah, Hellfire seems like a pretty nice one. It is a fire attack, but here is the even better one in my opinion. True Dark has potential to be very useful. I'll tell you why. It's non-attribute, and we rarely get non-attribute magic spells in the game, and if you remember Lagravos, when he came out originally, he had Apocalypse, which was non-attribute, and that was used a hell of a lot to clear story stages quite easily. So, tier magic, again, this is a powerful wide area no attribute attack. So this is a medium area attack. This one says it's wide area. I don't know how big the area is. I haven't tested it yet. I'm definitely going to test that at some point, but that's going to be a lot later in the stream. This is 72 MP, which is a hell of a lot of MP, but the difference between this and Hellfire is obviously this is a non-attribute, but this has more hit counts as well, and this seems like it's a bit faster than Hellfire as well. True Dark has 32 hits, which is pretty nice. It's even better than Hellfire. It cost only 4 MP more, but it's definitely worth it. True Dark is definitely going to be a nice spell. It seems fast, and it's got 32 hits, so I just think it's a nice spell. I just wish it was cheaper to cast, because, you know, these spells like Nether Tempest cost 45. It's, you know, cheap compared to True Dark. Because would you rather use Nether Tempest to hit everyone, or like Hellfire or True Dark that can't hit everyone? You know, that's the thing I'm thinking about. But I guess the reason that this could be good, obviously, is because this can stack. So this is stackable magic. So don't underestimate stackable magic. You can stack this, so you can spam this a hell of a lot. And what this means is, if you remember a unit like Linus, who can use stackable, non-stacking magic, like you can use a Nether Tempest, and then you can start spamming the stackable magic spells. So Ainz seemed like he can do that pretty well. You can use something like Nether Tempest, which is a non-stacking magic spell, and then while that is going off, you can then start spamming like True Dark, which is a spamming spell. That just seems like some very fun, you know, it just sounds very fun to do something like that. And, you know, we don't get many units like this. Linus was the last one that I remember. There might have been some more, but we don't get many units that do that. Having stackable spells is very fun and has potential to be very useful, because the main issue with non-stacking spells is for PvP, obviously only one can be active at a time. So for this, you can constantly be doing damage in PvP as long as you have the MP to use it. So that's great. Giga Week. I love Giga Week just because it's a very nice magic spell to have for guild battles, and just in general it's a very nice spell. So I like seeing that. And then there's this one right here. This one sounds very interesting to me. I don't know how useful it's going to be, honestly, but it sounds fun. So when living 12 seconds after you cast this, then it gives the Overlord buff to this unit, and you can only use this once per wave. And what that buff does is your next tier magic or special that you use is going to get 150% more damage and have 300,000 damage cap. So one thing about this is, obviously this won't apply to spells like Nether Tempest. It's only going to apply to the tier magic spells. So for Ainz, he only has Hellfire and True Dark. So these two spells, this is only going to apply to those two spells and his special. But applying to his special is where it gets interesting, because his special hits all enemies. And his special is 46 hits. Let me do some math for a second. So 46, right, times by 300,000. That is 13.8 million damage against all enemies. Like, that's pretty crazy. Obviously, you can only do this once per wave. You can only do this once, and it's a, like, after 12 seconds. So you gotta wait. But it's still gonna be pretty fun. Like, he could be a pretty solid special damage dealer because of this, but he can only do it once. That's the limitation there. But 13.8 million damage, and you can even increase that further to make it like above 14 million, of course. Could be pretty damn nice. I do like that. So this could be fun to mess around with, and you can also obviously use it for like these magic spells. And a special could benefit from this against all enemies. It's going to be pretty fun. So those are all of his spells. Look pretty nice. Now we get on to the passive skills. Most of these seem like they're focused on, obviously, mage, apart from Maglion. MP up max, magic up 4, arcane up 4, esoteric up 4. Definitely got a lot of intelligence, some nice MP as well. Human Geyser. I love Human Geyser. Lillahar also has Human Geyser. And as you know, Human Geyser is very useful in PvP. That's the main place where it's useful, because there are a lot of human type units in the game that are used in PvP. Obviously there are a couple of units like Zero, who's a god type, so it would be nice to have God Slayer as well, but having Human Geyser is just amazing on a unit. I just love having that. It's just very good. Soldier, Knight, Sniper and Sorcerer Slayers on your magic attacks, very good. Auto critical, I like seeing that too. He also has auto Grand Brave in his trait 1, so remember that, and the ultra advanced magic circles in his trait 1 as well. That's why it's not here. Auto recast, just very nice to have that on a mage, of course. Moonlight 2, Means you can stack this with Moonlight 1 as well. I love Moonlight on a mage because most of the time they're going to be at max HP, especially if they have like crit and Proud Force, stuff like that for healing. It's very nice. Fire attack raise 4. Yeah, auto Grand Aura. Fire attack damage 30%, damage cap 3000, and the same thing for non-attribute damage and damage cap. So this will apply to all of his damage for these two types, which does mean that his skill 2 is literally going to do like nothing because it's thunder. I mean, it obviously is still going to do something, but they left out his skill 2, which is funny. Like, I know he's a mage, but I'm still pointing it out that it only applies to skill 1 and 3 because he doesn't have thunder attack raise 4, only fire and non-attribute. But it does make sense because these apply to his 2 magic spells here, True Dark and Hellfire, so that is nice to have for sure. Pose of Honor, love that on a mage, even though it's only 2 SC, it's amazing to have. Maglion is only for your physical damage, so if you want him to be a physical damage dealer, you technically could try that, but again, I don't think it's viable really. I mean, maybe with the Kingdom of Science flag, and you can do like Prefect of God, Ark as well, stuff like that could be interesting, but I don't know how well that's going to do really, because he's mostly a mage. Immovable Object, High Level Magic Chant, love seeing that. Beast Repellent, all of these skills are pretty much what you were looking for a mage, so I love seeing these all the time. Sorcerer's Mindset 2, Staff Intelligence and Robe Mind plus 100%, love that. Staff High Boost, Giga Boost, sure. Physical damage, magic damage, damage cap, sure. Robe Giga Boost. So obviously you're going to want a staff and a robe, but that's just what most mages use in this game, so it's pretty easy. Magic damage, Special Boost 3, Giant Purge 2 is even more magic damage to boss monsters, sure. Death God, of course he would have something like this, I was kind of expecting this. He pretty much is a Death God himself, so it makes sense they would have this. Physical attacks have a chance of insta-kill, kind of useless for him, but I guess it can sometimes be useful. Convergence, interesting. When taking lethal damage from an enemy, spend 2% of the damage as MP and survive in 1 HP. This is a good thing, but the bad thing about it is obviously you won't have the MP to use your spells if you're taking damage and proccing this, so this isn't always worth having. I do prefer auto heal instead of this, honestly. Mind Pierce, I just love having this too. When magically attacking, chance to halve mind and do damage. Just it's basically equivalent to piercing, but for your magic attacks. Now we get onto the unique skills. There aren't that many, honestly, but they seem nice. Boss wave start / when revived on a boss wave. So this is only on a boss wave. Special gauge plus 20%, sure. And on boss waves, special damage 200%, that's a lot of damage, and damage cap 50,000 once per wave. So this is only once per wave again, but it is a nice boost, only against boss waves though. So you're not getting anything in PvP from this, but it's not bad, it's pretty good because the special gauge regen can be quite useful. And the damage and damage cap is actually pretty good. It's quite a lot for his special. And if you put this with obviously his magic spell here, then that's going to add even more to his special damage and damage cap. So that could be pretty nice. Maximize magic. You know, when you have a spell like this, it has to be good, right? Maximizing your magic damage has to be. Tier magic MP cost plus 75%, but damage 100%, damage cap 30,000. So this is basically equivalent to like magic aura, where it increases your damage but it costs more MP. Obviously the bad thing about this is it costs more, but 100% damage. it will be costing a hell of a lot with that, because these already cost a lot, so 72 already, and then you're adding another 75% on top of that, so almost doubling the MP cost of that spell is just going to be very expensive. So I don't know how good this will be in places like Arena, because Arena regenerating MP is quite important and you kind of want to cast as soon as possible, so I don't know if it's going to be used in Arena, but we'll have to see on that one because I don't know yet. But it's still some nice damage though. Boosted Magic, another spell with the word magic in it. Funny. Whenever hitting an attribute weakness with a skill or magic, then it boosts your physical and magic and special damage and damage cap. So I'm quite interested in exactly how this works. If it's like increasing your damage per hit, or if it's per spell or skill that you use, I don't know, but it says whenever you're hitting a weakness, so maybe it's per hit increases your damage by like 1% and the equivalent damage cap, but I'm just guessing. It's still some nice stackable damage and damage cap, so always love that. And then the 6 enhanced skills, always love these two. So tier magic damage cap, 20,000, so this will obviously only apply to his Hellfire and True Dark spells. It does make me question why he also has these 3 spells, considering a lot of his kits, well, the damage cap and some damage is only applying to tier magic, and these 3 spells, they won't get much benefit from any of those, so his tier magic spells are definitely going to do a lot more. Special boost, sure, okay, it's only a little bit, but can help a little bit. Staff mastery, even more physical and magic damage, sure. All attribute damage, I love that. This should apply to non-attribute as well, I would assume. Maybe, because he does have a non-attribute spell, so it should do, right? Fire, weak point, breakthrough, even more damage cap when hitting a weakness, sure, love that. Casting speed. Casting speed is already pretty good, if you think about it. You got this casting speed, 20%. You've also got high level magic chant for even 20% more. And then you've also got auto recast. So that's some pretty good casting speed already, and that should be enough, I think, to cast instantly. But I haven't tried it yet, but it should be pretty fast. And then the last one is chance for any attack magic to deal critical damage. That is why he has auto critical here, because any of his magic spells can crit. So this kit seems pretty good. Like, it's interesting. Obviously it's mainly focusing on being a mage, right? And I like mages, but there is a little bit that is for physical damage. There isn't that much though. It's mostly focusing on magic damage. Like, yeah, most of these magic damage. And then there's like one skill is for boss waves. But yeah, here's what I'm thinking though. If you stack all of these with existing magic damage spells like fire boost, so you go fire boost, fire high boost, fire mega boost, you know, put those types of skills on to increase his fire attack damage for his hellfire and make that as strong as possible, you could do something like that. And there is a hell of a lot of skills in his kit that he doesn't have that you can put on him, like those fire boost skills, or like non-attribute attack raise 1 and 2 and whatever if you want, and like magic aura and magic weak point boost and stuff like that, staff boost. You know, you've got quite a few spells that he doesn't have in his kit which you can put on him to increase his damage even more. So I do like that a lot of his damage is more limited skills that we don't usually have learnable, that you wouldn't normally put on a unit, but obviously got the expensive teachable learnable skills like high level magic chant and immovable object. You know, they're very expensive skills, and Moonlight 2 is not even learnable. Human Guise is not even learnable. If you were to teach human Slayer Geyser to every, all of them on a unit will be very expensive. So his kit does seem very nice. I think he's going to be a pretty strong mage, honestly. For a physical damage dealer though, I wouldn't worry about it too much, unless his physical damage turns out to be pretty strong, but I doubt it, unless it turns out like a Shift Lagravos situation or something, but none of his spells hit all enemies or anything, so yeah, I don't think his physical potential is very high. But as a mage, I think as a mage, if you manage to get Ainz, he should carry you through pretty much 99% of the story, just because he's got a lot of different elemental spell magics, and he's also got non-attribute magic spell as well. So having a non-attribute and all these different attributes as well, as a mage with a lot of damage, he's definitely going to be very good for newer players that don't already have a mage. If you don't have Lillahar, then Ainz will be probably a good substitute, or at least alternative. But if I were to compare him to Lillahar, I don't like doing that, because Lillahar is such a good unit and she's got a very high bar set in the game right now, so I don't want to compare them. But Ainz is different. Even though they're both mages, Ainz is a bit different because he does have those stackable magic spells, and they are completely new, and he does have some nice special damage potential as well, so he is quite a bit different, and having stackable magic does give him a little bit of an advantage. But obviously Lilhar's damage and on non-stacking magic is pretty crazy. But yeah, he seems like he has some very good potential, and I would love to have this unit. Anyone would love to have this unit, because I just think it's going to be very good long term, because a mage like this, it should last quite a long time. So if you manage to pull him, that's great, because he should last a very long time, because we don't get many mages in this game. It's rare that we get a mage released, because most units in the game are physical damage dealers. So he is a very nice unit to have, for sure. There is no way that he's bad, because his kit alone is already strong enough to be a very strong mage. So I can see that in his kit already, and I haven't even tested him yet. So he does have some very good potential. I would love to have him personally, because he does have some potential to be good in PvP, maybe, like guild battles or arena potentially, but I don't know if he's going to fit in the current meta, because his magic spells cost a hell of a lot. But we'll have to see on that. Even if he's not as useful in PvP, he can still be used against bosses and stuff, because he has the non-attribute magic spells and some very good spells. So let's have a look at the Ark next. This is the Overlord Ark. Honestly, I'm quite excited about this one too. This banner in general for part 1 just seems very solid, because it has a very good mage unit and also a very good Ark. So let's have a look at this first. Trait, first of all, attack magic MP cost plus 20%, but damage plus 30%, and damage cap plus 5,000. So it's pretty nice. Basically like a mini magic aura effect that you can stack with magic aura if you want. Nullify insta-kill effect from enemies, sure. It doesn't say it excludes some here, but it does say on a new line excludes some insta-kill effects. This is basically the same thing as what Ainz already has, right? I believe he already has this. I know he has Death God, which is the opposite of this, but this is rarely going to be useful, so I wouldn't worry about that too much, because when are you ever going to get insta-killed in stages? It doesn't happen that often. Undead type only, all attribute damage taken minus 15%. It's pretty nice. So if you look at this trait, yeah, it's okay. It gives you basically 30% magic damage, 5,000 magic damage to cap, and if you're an undead type, then you take 15% less damage from all attributes. So it's solid. It's not the best, of course, because we have like Lilhar's UR Arc and some other arcs available for magic damage, which would be better than this. If you just want more magic damage, then there are better arcs. But if you want to benefit from the damage cap as well, and maybe take less damage, then this could be useful. So it's not terrible, just not the best option because there are other options, but if you don't have those options then it will be a quite good option. I've said options a lot in that last sentence, that was great. Anyways, learnable skills is my favourite thing about this arc. First of all, we got int plus. This is the first time we've seen this. Intelligence plus 100 for 2SC. I don't know if this is worth it for 2SC, but maybe, because if you have this plus your other magic up spells, magic up skills like magic up max and stuff, then this will be more useful in that case, because magic up max obviously increase your intelligence, which will increase the intelligence benefit from this technically, so it could be useful. I think it's going to give more intelligence. There isn't really much to it, but I just think it could be nice. Now, the main ones here being these two. So, Guardian of... I don't want to say that word because I'll say it wrong. Activate effects of this... on the skill Ruler of... which is this one. This skill itself has no effect. So, by itself, this skill doesn't do anything. Nazaric. Ruler of Nazaric, this one is the main skill that you're going to be looking at. So when a unit is the only ally with this skill, so kind of like reminds me of skills like besties and stuff, but a bit different because this is the only unit that has to have this. So when the unit is the only one that has this skill set, then it boosts your damage and cuts damage taken based on the number of allies that has this skill. So basically put this on one of your units, and then everyone else in the team should have the Guardian of Nazaric's skill. So Guardian of Nazaric set, if you have this set, then a maximum of 3 units, damage plus 36%, damage taken minus 15%. This is crazy, because think about it, 9SC, getting a maximum of 36% all damage, by the way, and minus 15% all damage taken for 9SC. Crazy. Of course you have to have Guardian of Nazaric on your other 3 units in your team, but the one unit that gets this benefit, this buff from the skill, is very strong, and I love this. This is great, and this is definitely going to be used a hell of a lot in PvP mostly. I wouldn't worry about it too much in PvE just because you have to build a specific team for that, and you probably don't really want to waste your time doing that. But in Arena and your Guild Battle attack team, this will be perfect for those, because you can just make one of your units do even more damage and take less damage. Like if you want this on your tank, then sure, go ahead. Put this on a counter unit like 2P, they would love that. Put it on Guile, they would love that. You can even put it on a mage like Lilahar, she would love that too. And you can even put it on a physical damage dealer like Zero, he would also love that. So a lot of units in the game can benefit from this, and that's why I think this is going to be a very good skill to have. For sure, 100%. Cloak of Majesty isn't really anything special because this is learnable on other arcs, so isn't anything special. We've seen it before. Shadow Enhance could be nice, I guess. Dark attack damage 10%, magic damage 15%. I don't know if it's worth it for 10 SC, but if you want maximum dark damage for your magic spells, then maybe. And then Overlord is another new skill, which I love. Get Undead type, magic attack damage cap 3000, and non-stacking magic damage cap plus 3000. Honestly, Lilahar, instantly put this on Lilahar. Like, for PvE, Lilahar wants this, because she has double the hit counts of her magic spells. So giving her 6000 damage cap is going to be so good. So I would love that on Lilahar, or even Lenius, maybe. Obviously you can put it on Ainz, but mages that have double hit counts would benefit more from this. You know who else? Lily. Advocate of God Lily would also like this. If you still use her, she's still pretty decent. You can make her a strong mage, and you can give her even more damage cap with this, so I think this is a good spell too. But I definitely think my favourite here is definitely these two. So the Ruler of Nazarick spell, this skill, I love this one. It's definitely my favourite one that I can see myself using a hell of a lot in my arena teams and guild battle attack teams. So I would really love to have this, because it's pretty damn good. For an IFC, it's so good. The Archive reward, accessory, intelligence, strength, MP, give undead type, okay. Battlestar, boost skill and magic damage based on the number of undead type allies. Well, it's pretty good considering it's an accessory, right? You also get silence resistance, 5 light, attribute resistance as well. It's not bad. The only thing about it is you've got to have undead types in your team, and if you start running a full undead type team, then people are going to start running undead slayer. So you may not want to do that in PvP, because people are going to know and they're going to use undead slayer or undead geyser and just destroy your team with that. So you may not want to do that. But in PvE, maybe go for a full undead team with Ainz and this accessory. You can benefit from that. So could be somewhat useful, but honestly I wouldn't use this most of the time just because it requires a specific team build, and I don't like those types of things because I just like shoving a skill on a unit and just leaving on there. It just does damage, you know, or damage mitigation. I love those things because they're just a lot easier to use compared to this, but it does have some potential, especially in a full Ainz focus team. You could have an undead type team or something if you want. Could be nice. So I think this arc is very good. Main reason being learnable skills, very good learnable skills. I love these learnable skills, especially this one. Ruler of Nazarick is great. Overlord could be great as well. Shadow Enhance maybe too, and Intelligence Plus is a good one too. So it's got some very nice learnable skills. I love this one. I would personally love to have this because it just has some very good learnable skills. That's the main thing about that arc. So overall, this banner seems very good because you have a very nice mage. Ainz has potential to be a very strong mage, and he's definitely going to be good long term. So he's already worth getting. And then you've also got a very good arc on this banner as well, which has some skills which will be used long term as well. So these may never come back if this collab never gets a rerun, but I would assume it will get a rerun in the future. I don't know, I'm just guessing, but it's still very nice to have because this damage and damage mitigation is just so good for the amount of SC you're using. 9 SC for this effect, so great. So yeah, I personally prefer the part 1 banner over the part 2 banner, but we still have to talk about part 2 banner, which is going to take even longer, so we should do that now. So a very good banner, part 1, very solid, but there's also a part 2, so let's have a look at this next. We have Albedo and the limited arc in this one. Honestly, the limited arc on this one doesn't impress me as much as the first one, but it does still seem pretty useful. But let's have a look at the unit first. So she is a creature type unit, which is interesting because we don't get many creature type units in this game, and she is going to be more of a hybrid tank slash DPS, physical DPS unit. So she's like a bruiser type unit that can tank a little bit and can also do damage at the same time. I'm hoping she can do well at both because she does have some potential. Yeah. So Albedo is a dark unit. It's an interesting choice. Her stats seem pretty nice. High defense, high strength. Makes sense. Good HP as well. Attribute resistances, plus 10 to everything. Plus 20 to dark, minus 20 to light. Actually seems pretty good. I like these attribute resistances. Pretty great. You could easily fix this with putting on an accessory to increase her light resistance or something, and she would actually be positive to everything, so that's pretty great. It's easier to increase her resistances compared to Ainz because he had minus 35 to light. She's got weakness to silence, which isn't a big deal because she's a physical damage dealer. She's not going to be casting anything, I think, so you don't really need to worry about that. But she has nil to curse, which is perfect for obviously a physical damage dealer or a tank. Resistance to stun, great as well, and nil to illness is what you must have for a tank at all times. So these are very nice ailment resistances and some nice attribute resistances too. Obviously could have done with some nil to stun, but you can easily improve that with equipment. So let's go over to her abilities. You can already see here that skill 1 and skill 2, kind of boring. Then you get to skill 3, hell of a lot of words. There's like a 4 times amount of words for her skill 3. Well, look at them one at a time. So skill 1, medium area dark combat attack. Very basic. Her skill 1 is 8 hits, so 8 hits, kind of good. It's okay. Solid, nothing special about her skill 1 really. Skill 2, teleport above the enemy, so this will be a close the gap skill because teleporting for a medium area dark combat attack. This one is 14 hits, which could have been a bit better, but it's kind of average, it's alright, it's not terrible. And now we get on to the main skill that I'm most excited about. Her skill 3, see where it gets you. This one has potential to be very nice. Long range, great. Dark combat attack to all enemies. This is all enemies. Again, we've seen this somewhere, haven't we? Telestio hits all enemies. He's crazy. But difference being, Albedo is not a main physical damage dealer. She can also tank, so I would assume her damage won't be as good. 100% Telestio's damage is going to be a lot higher than Albedo. That's just what I assume. But let's have a look at this. There's a chance for a temporary effect making target enemy this unit. It is basically the same as Ruto's skill 2 or Granadus. You know, we've seen those types of effects before. And also Garland. Not Garland, Gilbert. I get them mixed up because everyone begins with G. It's annoying. So many G names. Yeah, I really hope I get lucky because I really need to try and get most things from here. Max chance up as skill rises, boost chance if you have higher mind than the enemy. So this is like a lock debuff. We've seen it on Ruto and Granadus, like I've said, those types of units. And it also hits all enemies. So here's the thing though. Chance for a temporary effect making the target enemy. I'm wondering if it means only the enemy that you're targeting, or if it's every enemy that this skill hits, because what I was thinking was, since this hits all enemies, then there's a chance for this effect to apply for all enemies. That's just what I'm guessing. That would be very nice if that's the case, and this could be very nice. If she ends up being very tanky, this will be incredibly useful. Yeah, I know, there's so many Gs in this game, it's ridiculous. I get mixed up sometimes. I have to take a moment and think about which G am I talking about, because there's a lot of Gs. So yeah, skill 3 is amazing, but there is a drawback of this. Her skill 3 is only 12 hits. 12 hits is very low for a skill 3, it's terrible. Hit count's terrible. But obviously makes up for it for being a skill that hits all enemies and has this temporary effect for making enemies target this unit. So this has potential, and I'm hoping the skill stock is not 1. I hope the skill stock is not 1, but it probably is. I haven't seen it, but let me know. It's probably 1. If not 1, then it's 2. But you can increase it to, you know, you can increase it from Purple Orb and like a Arc trait. Yeah, 1 is pretty much what I expected from a skill that does something like this. Definitely what I expected. No surprises there, really. So, Purple Orb will be very good on her, for sure. And then her special is an interesting one, as well. Powerful Dark Combat attack to one enemy. Honestly, that attack's very terrible, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Boost unit HP cap by 100%. I love that. And restore HP. Give unit an enemy attention drawn +2 buff. HP recovery cap plus 40,000. So this special, the damage is terrible because it's only 15 hits, so I wouldn't worry about her special damage, it's just not very good. Yeah, I haven't tested anyone in battle yet, so I can't really say yet. The main thing about her special is obviously her HP cap plus 100% buff. This buff should last like 40 seconds, I would guess, and this could be useful, but here's the problem though, is these effects, enemy attention drawn +2, and the HP, are useful buffs for PvP, right? But obviously you can't use your special in PvP, so it's not going to be that useful, but yes, this will make her a bit more tanky for PvE content, and it can be useful. So yeah, maybe she's very good in PvP, I don't know yet, but if she does turn out to be very good in PvP, it wouldn't surprise me that much, because her kit does seem like it has some very good potential in PvP, so I'm sure there's probably some people that have already tested her and built her already. Wouldn't surprise me, because some people do that, but yeah. She definitely has potential. You could have like a combo of Albedo plus Telestio. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Yeah, because Telestio and Albedo both has a skill tree that hits all enemies. It would be pretty funny, and I'm kind of scared if Albedo hits strong damage and can tank very well at the same time. I think she has some potential, but let's get over to the traits next, because obviously this always gets more interesting. So, trait 1, when only weapon equipped is one axe, so she does want an axe, which makes sense because she's holding an axe right there, so obviously want an axe. Skill and special damage 40%, and damage cap 40,000, pretty nice. Some skill damage, special damage doesn't really care too much, but damage cap is nice too. I think if Albedo can tank Zero, then she's going to be very good, but I doubt it, because Zero is incredibly strong, and like hardly any tanks in the game currently can tank a fully built Zero, because Zero is too strong right now. I can barely build a tank strong enough to tank Zero, so he's just way too strong. That's just what I think though, from my experience at least so far, and I don't have a fully built Melza yet. Battle start, and every 20 seconds, give unit a 20-second buff to survive taking lethal damage from a physical attack for 1 HP until the attack ends. So this is similar to what Jian has, but she can do it twice. And some other units have a similar effect too, or the same effect. But she has a buff instead. So instead of a skill that is only going to apply once per battle or something, this can continuously apply, so this can happen multiple times in the battle, but obviously this can only happen once per 20 seconds. So what I would assume is, when you get this buff and you survive lethal damage, it probably removes the buff or something, or it just won't do anything anymore until 20 seconds has passed. So after every 20 seconds, then it's going to re-give the buff, so then you can survive another lethal attack. Sounds very nice, honestly. I would also assume that this buff won't stack. So let's say after 20 seconds you didn't use the buff. I would assume it would probably re-give the same buff, and this buff... Yeah, it's this buff. It says this buff only lasts 20 seconds, so it can't stack because it's going to run out of time. And once that disappears, the new one's going to refresh it. So that makes sense. Kind of what I expected, really. Armor equipped. Won't flinch from physical attacks. Really? Every physical attack. Just every physical attack. Just all of them. That's crazy. I love that. And damage taken minus 35% from everything. Well, actually, it doesn't say from everything, it just says... I would assume it's damage taken from physical attacks, considering it says won't flinch from physical attacks / damage taken. So it's probably physical damage taken minus 35%. I would guess that. That would be my guess, because that's usually what Ainz does. And you also won't faint from enemy attacks. Love that. So here's what's already useful. She is already seeing looking very strong in PvP because she's got a skill 3 that can hit everyone and can, you know, do the lore buff thing. And her trait 1 won't flinch from every single physical attack, so Telestio won't flinch her, and she won't flinch from any physical attack ever, which is amazing. I love that already. And she can also survive lethal damage, and it refreshes the buff every 20 seconds. Just sounds very good to me. Sounds great. I love that. She's definitely going to be useful in places like arena and guild battles for sure. I can already see that, and I'm already saying that even though I'm only a very small part way through this kit. It still sounds pretty good to me. So let's get to the trait 2 next. This one is pretty interesting as well. I like this one because it has potential to be pretty useful. So, battle start, it gives a love buff to the ally with the highest intelligence, excluding this unit of course. So the ally with the highest intelligence gets this buff, and when that buff is active, so when the love buff is active, then it boosts HP and damage taken minus 35% and enemy attention drawn minus 1. Crazy effect right there. HP boost is 35% of this unit's HP before battle start, I think. 35% of unit HP. It doesn't say this unit or that unit. It doesn't really specify which unit, but I would assume it's Albedo, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Lost if incapacitated, of course. You can't re-give it. But here's the thing, though, is this trait 2 is only for this buff. So you're not getting anything else from this, which is okay, because this buff is very strong. And what you could do with this is having like her with someone else that has higher intelligence, or let's say you're doing a round 2 in guild battles, just for an example, you're having her with a support, then of course if you only have 2 units in the team, then that second unit will always get this buff no matter what. Which is great because they're gonna take less damage, get enemy attention drawn minus 1, and boost HP. All of these effects right here are very PvP relevant and PvP focused. So this kit, just all of these traits just seem very strong for PvP already, and there's no way that she's not bad. That she's bad in PvP, right? Like, she has to be good. She's definitely going to be good in PvP. If she can't survive in arena, then she's still going to be good in guild battles, if you care about that at all. Like, I know guild battles isn't really focused on too much, but I still like to talk about it and think about it, because I play it all the time. But I'm hoping she can survive in arena and can do some decent damage, because she does have some very good potential right here, for sure. Looking forward to trying her out as well. Honestly, both units seem very strong so far. Let's go to the skills next, though. Human shield, damn, that's crazy. So, HP up 3, defense up 2. Interesting choice of skills, honestly. Defense up max, fighting spirit max, sure, resolve up max. These are all very nice. HP defense is going to be pretty high. Counter shield 2. I'm glad she has this, because Counter Shield 2 is learnable, but not everyone has it because it's a limited skill. Not everyone has it. I don't remember if it's on a UR or a limited collab arc or something, but it is on one of those two, and it sucks because not everyone has it available. Human Shield. Amazing. I can already tell you something. She is going to tank Guile. She should definitely 100% tank Guile. Because she has, first of all, she is a creature type, right? And second of all, she has Counter Shield 2, and thirdly, she has Human Shield. So already has quite a bit of damage mitigation against Guile. Yeah, that rerun, that sucks. It's from a collab, it sucks. But she has it, so you don't have to worry about that, which is great. Auto Ground Fort, very nice to have, I love that. Auto High Protection. I'm already getting scared reading this kit, honestly. Like, this just seems very strong. Shadow Armor 2, continuous Shadow Wall 2 to this unit only. I believe that means you take less light damage, right? That's pretty nice. Patience 2, more defense when close to death. Nice. Awesome. Dark Drive. Summer, right. That makes sense. Yeah, I knew Cat of Shield 1 was from UR. Yeah, being from a UR and a seasonal, it limited arcs and UR arcs, just very limited, just incredibly limited, the most limited you can get. Dark Drive, Mega Drive, Dark Attack Raise 4, some nice damage skills as well, so you've got a mix of a bunch of damage mitigation and some damage skills too. Weak Point Breakthrough, sure. Goddess Kiss, interesting choice, but can be useful. Maglion Shield, I love this. Are they making a counter to Telestio already? Like, that's just what I'm thinking about, because this won't flinch from physical attacks, and Human Shield and Maglion Shield just seems like a direct counter to Telestio's. That's just what I'm thinking right now. Allure, I'm hoping she has more than just this, because +1 by itself isn't that much. Physical damage healing 3 is new. This is the first time we've seen this. It's not learnable yet, so this is pretty nice to have for sure. Shockwave 2 can be useful. It's not bad. It's not learnable either, so love seeing that. Two-handed axe. Here we are getting to more damage skills again. Physical damage, crit rate, damage cap, even more damage, damage cap, more damage, boost break. I doubt she'll break at all, she's not going to break that well. Yeah, obviously taunting, but she should be able to do damage as well, that's what I'm thinking about. Armor HP boost, armor high boost. When armor is equipped, defense 20%, damage taken from bosses, same thing here. Take less physical damage. Cool. Armor HP +3. Skill charge 3. These are all very good stuff. I like seeing this. So it's definitely like a mix of a bunch of damage mitigation, some damage skills here, and then a bit more damage mitigation, and then back to damage skills here. Then I would assume it goes back to damage mitigation. So let's have a look at her unique skills. So Guardian's Duty, critical damage taken -20%. Anti-type damage taken -20%. It's already great. Yeah, I've seen that in one of the skills down here. Critical damage, anti-type damage. This one's very nice. I really don't want to say this because I can't. I'm not bothering to try and even pronounce this word. When only a weapon is equipped with 1 axe, 20% damage, damage cap 10,000, give physical attacks an anti-machine and stone type effect. Interesting. Very interesting. Loves Inspiration, Continuous Grand Brave. When near death, strength 200% and physical damage 8%. Yeah, this one. So when she's near death, you get a hell of a lot of strength. And 80% physical damage. Pretty crazy, but obviously got to be near death for this. And the main point in PvP is obviously not die. So most of the time this won't be active because you usually have a healer or something. So yes, this can be useful sometimes, but don't rely on it, I think. I'm hoping her damage is more than someone like Garland, because Garland's damage is poo, it's just garbage, it's got no damage. But it does seem like Albedo has some damage, like it has to be something. Guardian Shield, there we go, love this one. Enemy attention drawn +2, there it is. Nullify defense piercing effects from enemy attacks, love that as well. When HP hits 5% or less, get a defense 100% buff. Once per wave. You know why this is good, right? This is good because this is going to work very well with her trait 1, which gives a survive lethal damage. So obviously when you take lethal damage, she should be below 5% HP at that point, right? Which will then proc this. So that just sounds very good to me. That's great. Lovely stuff. And then last one here. Battlestar. This one's crazy too, honestly. Chance for a temporary effect, making all enemy units target this unit. Crazy. When an ally is incapacitated, give unit rage and restore 1 stock for 1 skill. Pretty cool too. So, this looks pretty great so far. 6 enhanced skills, damage cap. Honestly, I don't really care too much about a damage cap just because I think her as a DPS unit in PvE content isn't going to be very high, and her main potential is going to be in PvP for sure. Special boosts, again, I would just not even unlock this just because her special is not very good for damage. Take less physical damage, love that. Axe Mastery, this one's great, even more physical damage, even though it's only 10% something. Armor Mastery, take less damage, have more defense from your armor, love it. Dog Eat Dog is even more damage. This does apply in Arena as well. And Skill Charge 3. So, this kit is, it just looks pretty crazy to me. We've got quite a good amount of damage mitigation, but the main question is this enough damage mitigation to survive Zero? Because if it is, she's going to be meta instantly, because Zero is used quite a bit. He's got crazy damage. I doubt that, but we'll have to see. I don't know. But even if she can tank, like, enough, like, I still think it's going to be very good, because she should be able to tank everyone else, like Telestio and other physical damage dealers should tank very well. But magic attacks, she's probably vulnerable to magic attacks, because most of her kit is physical damage mitigation and defense and that stuff, but she does have some damage mitigation for, like, all damage mitigation, like Human Shield applies to all damage, and she does have some skills that applies to all damage, so that's nice, but just not that much to magic damage mitigation. But that isn't her main role, though. Her damage potential, I mean, she could potentially do some damage. I hope so. Like, if she has enough damage to kill support backliners, that's all I'm hoping for. If she has enough damage to kill a Lilahar, I would be completely fine with that. That would be exactly what I want. But I don't know yet. She is going to be quite useful, I think, for PvP. So she's definitely a more PvP focused unit than Ainz is. But Ainz could be good in PvP, but I just think Albedo has more potential than him in PvP, for sure. She just seems like she's going to be very good. So, definitely going to be down to testing, again. Always requires testing. But there's definitely some very solid potential here. I would love to have both of these units, because they're both very strong. Definitely. Has good potential here. And since she's collab, I don't really want to miss out. I really don't. But yeah, that's the unit. She's definitely seems like she's going to be very good in PvP, 100%. I can't see a scenario where she'll be bad. She should still be useful. Even if she is dying, she should be good enough. Like, even if her damage is bad, she should still survive enough to be useful, because her enemy attention drawn buff at the start of battle and her trait 2 love buff is amazing. So she does have quite a lot of useful things for PvP that I think she's going to be useful no matter what. So that just seems great. Now let's have a look at the limited arc next. This one's good. This one's good, but it's not as good as the part 1 arc in my opinion. So let's have a look at the trait. I personally didn't look at this. When only weapon equipped is 1 axe, physical attack damage 25%, damage cap 2,500 for sure. That isn't that much though. Continuous Grand Fort effect, interesting. Okay, could be useful maybe on some units. Physical attack damage to undead types, minus 50%. So this is saying that you do less damage to undead types. It doesn't say you're taking less damage from undead types says you're doing less damage, which sucks. Why are you doing a negative thing on an arc trait? That's stupid. And then damage taken from non-undead types, minus 20%. If this is a typo, and it's supposed to say physical attack damage taken, then that'd be great, but I doubt it, because it says physical attack damage to undead types, minus 50%. So, I am not a huge fan of this, honestly. I mean, it's not terrible. I just don't like the fact that it has a negative effect, like you're doing less damage to undead types, apparently. Which sucks. But you do take less damage from non-undead types all the time. And if you're using this on a tank, just for the Grand Fort effect and the minus 20% damage taken effect, then the physical damage won't matter because you'll just be a tank. But yeah, don't really care too much about the trait, honestly. The notable skills are again where it gets more interesting. So less interesting than the Part 1 arc in my opinion, but still pretty solid. Poison resist, guard vitals, don't really care about those, we've seen those before I think. Mimicry Made is my favourite one in this arc for sure. So if unit is a non-human type, then damage taken minus 10%. Interesting thing though, if unit has a human type, nullifies the effect. So basically what they're saying here is you can't use this on a human unit and just put on a mimicry, because if they are a human type with a mimicry skill, then it's going to nullify the effect because they have a human type. So this is a bit more limited than I was originally thinking, because I was thinking, oh, if they're not a human type, I can just put this on anyone with a mimicry skill on. Well, that's not the case, because they have to not have human type to begin with, because if they have a human type, then it nullifies this effect completely, even if you have a mimicry on the unit. So that means this will only be useful on like god type units and any unit that isn't a human type, but there are still a good selection of units that are not human types, like Zero is a god type, Lilahar is a god type, you know, and even Albedo is a creature type, so you do have a couple of units that are a non-human type. Even Knuckles, there's probably some more like Garland's a god type, so I could keep listing them, but I think you get the idea. There are a couple of units that are non-humans, so you can get some benefit from this. It's just not something you're going to be using all the time, because there's still a lot of units in the game that are human types. Fast Shadow Wall 2 could come in handy sometimes, maybe. Automatically activate Shadow Wall 2 at the start of the battle. This will apply to your whole team, because as you know, fast wall effects apply to your entire team for 40 seconds, so that's very nice. And then modded made wear, I butchered that. Let's try again. Modded made wear, that's better. For 5 SC, close equipped, you get 20% strength. Sounds pretty good to me. It doesn't say it's close strength, it says you just get 20% more strength, just like a attack up max equivalent. Sounds pretty good to me, honestly, and that could be quite useful if you're up against a boss that has a hell of a lot of defense. This will be great for your single wield damage dealers that want even more strength. A unit just came into my head. You know what his name is? Diaz, because he has such high strength. I think he uses clothes, right? He should do, and he could use this for even more strength. That'd be funny, because you know how much strength he has, insane amount. It's gonna be funny. But yeah, this can sometimes be useful, so I like that. Yeah, you could do it. Yeah, it is dual wield, true. But still maybe would the here's the question though, do you think the 5SC would be worth it to use this in PvP? Personally, I wouldn't, because strength buffs in PvP just usually don't give much. So the main scenario where this would be useful is obviously PvE against bosses that have high defense. That's probably the main place that I would use this. But since you have to have close equipped, it's just very situational, you know, so maybe for that reason I wouldn't really use this that much. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. So, yes, there's less useful learnable skills on this arc. I think Mimicry Made is my favourite one in this one, but it is kind of more limited because you can't use it on everyone. Because if they're a human type, you don't get any effect from it. But I still think it's going to be very nice because you can put this on your tanks that are non-human, and even damage dealers that are non-human, like Zero, could love this. So, not a terrible arc, not bad. Let's have a look at the arcade reward though. This one sounds okay. Cloth, strength, defense, mind, okay. Thunder damage 20%, damage cap 1500, HP 10%. I think this would be good for a single wield thunder damage dealer, but how many do we have? Like hardly any. This one gives stun resistance too and 5 thunder resistance, so yeah, this one's not bad. It's just when are you ever going to use this? Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's not bad. It's okay. But why I think it's good is for the 20% thunder damage. That's why I think it's great. The damage cap is whatever, because you're going to be single build, because this is close. The HP 10% is whatever really. I mean, it can be something useful if you care about that, but mostly the 20% thunder damage. I think it's good because we don't have many clothes in this game that give damage, right? Well, we have some of them. We have less armors, honestly. But if you are limited on clothes options for damage, then if you're using a single wield thunder damage dealer, then you could use this on them. But there aren't that many units in the game that are single wield thunder damage dealers, so yeah, this won't get used that much. Though I think this arc is okay. It's not bad, so if you get it, it's still good to have for sure because it's got useful things like Mimicry Made. But the value of this arc isn't as much. It's not as high as the Part 1 arc, in my opinion. So I would say Part 1 has the most value at the moment. And Part 2 has good value too because it's got a great unit. The arc is not bad. It's just Part 1 has more valuable things, in my opinion, so far. But that's just my original thoughts. Yeah, Shaltier could be Thunder potentially. I don't know anything about her though, because I don't watch any animes or anything, so I don't know anything about anything. I'm just going in, looking at their kits and seeing what they do, kinda. That's about it. But they do seem pretty nice. We've got 21 days for these banners, so you've got some time. Now, what we should do next, that took an hour and 38 minutes to talk about both those banners. It was a long time. Let's look at the training space next, because I do want to have a look at their paid equipments. I haven't had a proper look at them yet. All I know is that Ainz has a crazy good paid staff, doesn't he? Let's have a look at it first. So, staff, intelligence, MP, and mind's pretty good. So this trait is pretty crazy. This is a 25 credential paid weapon as well. Magic attack and special damage 30%. Amazing. Tier attack magic damage plus 20%. Even more. When magic and special attacking, give enemy mind minus 10% to deal damage. I think it's not supposed to say give enemy. It's just supposed to say mind minus 10% to deal damage. It's not a debuff or anything. This is a crazy staff. What this reminds me of is Lilah's paid staff. Her paid staff is obviously better because it was, I don't know, it was also 25 credentials now, remembering that. It was also very good. But this one is so good because you've got 30% magic damage here, right? But we've also got another 20%, which goes on top of this. And it's going to be really good damage. And then they've also got some guaranteed piercing all the time, and minus 10% mind all the time. Very good. So, obviously this will be his best in slot staff. If you want him to be even stronger in PvP, then try and get this, but obviously you don't need it, because there are free-to-play options if you have them. Like, you can just use any other staff for magic damage, honestly. And if you've got Theopolis, you can just use that staff, which gives a hell of a lot of magic damage. So, yes, this is his best one, but the question is, do you need it? Probably not. But if you want his maximum damage potential, then yes, it would be great. His robe, haven't looked at honestly. Intelligence, MP, defense, mind, sure. Magic damage cap 5,000. Okay, not much, but something. Damage taken minus 15%. Useful, but he is a mage, so I don't know if the damage taken minus 15% is even going to be useful for him, because he's just going to be a mage. But maybe he can tank a little bit, and if that is the case, then that will become useful, for sure. Attack, magic, casting speed, 10%. Sure. And about start, give a revive effect buff on the unit. Ailment resistance for illness, pretty good. And plus 10 to light. Obviously he's got minus 35 to light, so this will help with that. So this is a very good robe, but I want you to think about it though. Yes, it's got very good effects, but look at the one thing it doesn't have. It doesn't have magic damage. So if you want even more magic damage, don't use it, because you're better off using the free-to-play robes for magic damage instead, which is probably what I would do. But obviously, this effect is still pretty good, because you take 13% less damage from everything, got more casting speed, but I honestly think he doesn't need it, and the revive effect is always going to be useful. Revive effects are very valuable for PvP, so I love the revive effects, but I don't know if you need it. So I will do my conclusion and stuff, recommending which one, but I would definitely recommend for the moment to try and save, just in case part 3 has anything good, and use all your tickets first. But it really depends on what your account needs and what you care about. The difference between the two units are Ainz, very good mage. He's going to be used in like pretty much all content, right? And the Ark is the best Ark in this collab so far. We don't know what part 3 has though, so that could change. Part 2 has Albedo, which is going to be more PvP focused. So if you don't care about PvP at all, then you're much better off just trying to get part 1 stuff in part 1 banner, because Albedo, I don't think she's going to be that great in PvE content, just because a lot of her kit is tank focused and for PvP. So I'll leave that up to you. Just try and not waste your crystals, because crystals are always important to save and only spend when necessary. So I'll leave it up to you, but I personally would prefer part 1. Yeah, you still got 21 days, so you got time. Let's have a look at Albedo's paid equipment. I haven't looked at these at all. Let's have a look. So, a dark attribute axe. Strength, defense, mind, makes sense. When equipped with only one weapon, dark physical damage 30%, sure. Damage cap 5,000, okay. I honestly don't care too much about damage cap on this unit, because like I said, she's not really going to be a DPS kind of damage dealer, I think. Battlestar, add 10% defense to strength. Strength 10%, defense 10%. This is pretty good. Obviously got the 30% physical damage, which is nice. We've also got add 10% of your defense to your strength, and you get 10% defense on an axe weapon. Pretty great, getting 10% defense that is going to stack, having more defense. I like it. That's pretty good. If she ends up being quite good in PvP, which she should, then I might get this axe, just because it seems like her best option, and I believe we don't have many axes in this game that are good for tanks, right? Like, we've got hardly any, like none. So the fact this gives defense and some damage, adding 10% of defense to strength too, sounds pretty good to me. This one is an armor. HP, defense, mind looks okay, nothing crazy though. Damage taken minus 25%. All damage taken, love that. All the time, love it. Skill and special damage 20%, and damage cap 2,000. So that's even more damage. So take less damage, do more damage through skills. Love it. Nullify defense down debuffs from active skills, excluding some debuffs. Can sometimes be useful, but I never really worry about it too much, just because when are you ever going to be in a scenario where the enemy's going to be casting defense down? I mean, Sometimes people would do something like that in arena, maybe. Guild battles, maybe not as much. Maybe sometimes. It doesn't nullify Theopolis because this is only casting like active skills, so skills that they cast, right? But it's still pretty nice armor. You could use other armors because we do have quite a lot of good damage mitigation armors in the game now. But the difference with this one is it gives you skill damage as well, so 20% skill damage on top of it. So if it turns out she can also be a decent damage dealer and also tank very well at the same time, then this would definitely be our best in slot option because it gives her damage and damage mitigation. So these are both very good, but do you need either one of them? Probably not. I mean, if I were to choose one of these, I probably would choose the Arks first, maybe, just because we don't have many Axes available in the game. I'd probably choose this one over this one, because we have a lot more armors accessible. Let me just go back to here just to tell you exactly what I would choose for this one. I would personally choose this staff because this one gives a hell of a lot of damage, and this robe doesn't give any damage, and if you want your maximum damage potential for Ainz, then use the free-to-play Godforge robe for even more damage instead of this one. But the good thing about this is obviously the revive effect and the damage taken and casting speed and stuff, but I don't think it's as useful as like more magic damage. If you want more damage, then it's probably better, but they are both good. None of them's bad. They're both very solid. But up to you, really. Like, they're both solid enough that I think there's no wrong option. It's just if you want maximum damage, then just go for the staff. So yeah, both of these paid equipments for both units seem pretty good. Usually I only get one of them, so what I would probably do is get this axe, maybe consider this armor, but I don't know yet, but I would probably get the axe as the first choice here. And I haven't really decided on this yet, but maybe the staff, if I were to choose one. So that would be my choices at least. So I think that's everything regarding the units so far. Obviously we still got to do summons and some testing a bit later on, which is going to be fun, hopefully. I haven't done any summons yet. I've only done the paid single pulls, so I didn't get anything from that. No surprise there. These training spaces do have tickets, which is nice. If you have any medals, you may want to try and risk using tickets. I don't know, it's up to you. And there are 2 different medals, which sucks. I know it would have been nice if it was the same medals, but it's not. It's sad, but it is what it is, I guess. So there is one more thing that I wanted to do before we start summons, is have a look at the shop, because I definitely wanted to do this earlier, just to give my thoughts on this really. So we have this here, the unit ticket set and the Ark ticket set. So this unit ticket set is 9,600 paid crystals, which is quite expensive, because if you go to the most expensive pack, wherever the hell it is that I can't find, this one, it's £90, which is a lot. Obviously if you're not in my currency, then it's whatever your price is, but still, it is a lot of money just to get this. So let's have a look at it. I'm not going to buy it yet. So you get this ticket. That's the main reason why this is expensive. You get this collab ticket. Let's have a look at everything else that it has first of all though. 3 Ultra Rainbow Crystones, if you care about those Crystones. Splendor of the World, Foreign Splendor, Visionary Splendor, Radiance of the World, Foreign Radiance, Visionary Radiance, 5 of those each, 2,000 Mother Souls. Oh, honestly, I don't care about Mother Souls, I've got so many at the moment. Luminous Souls, 2 of them, 20 Prism Souls. You get, this is what I like, 5 Collab Prism Choice Boxes. So with this you can choose either one of these units. So you can go like plus 10 to one of these units if you really want to, which I think that becomes a lot more like of a better option, because these prisms, getting 5 of these, well not each, but 5 for one of these units sounds pretty good to me. You get 5 of those boxes, and then 30 of these boxes, which just basically you can choose what medals you want. So that's interesting. Do I think this is worth it? Well, it's up to you, because here's the main thing about this. This ticket is not guaranteed. It says it right here. You can use it in the gacha, and it gets you Ainz or Albedo. You can't guarantee one, you can't select one, so it's random. And that's why I'm kind of iffy about this, and I'm not sure if this is even worth getting, because it's random, and if you get a dupe, or the one you didn't want, or let's say you get this now, and then you pull obviously a new unit, but then you get a dupe of that unit in 3 tickets or something later on, it's just going to feel bad if that happens. So I would highly recommend to not buy it right now, because if you're considering buying these, probably do it towards the end of the collab. That's probably the best time to use it, because then you would have used every single one of your tickets, and then you know what you have currently, like if you've got anything in the collab already. If you've already got one of the units, it's basically a 50-50 chance if you get the other unit from this. So I can't tell you exactly what you should be doing if you should be buying this, because that's up to you really. But I'm just going to say, don't be stupid, because if you buy it now, you may get a dupe of it later on. It's just going to be a waste of money. So I would just say, only do this towards the end of the collab, maybe. But it isn't. It's okay. Like, for what you're getting from the amount of crystals that you spend, it's not bad, because you're getting 5 of these prisms that you can select one of the units that you want. So, for instance, you can get Albedo at +10, not including the prisms from the event as well. So that's like +18 right there or something, or +16. So, and you can also get these medals for if you're closer to pity. So yeah, I can't really say if it's worth it yet. It's, in most cases, I don't think it's worth it, is what I'm going to say. And there's also the same thing from the Ark, so randomly gives you one of the Arks. The value on this one isn't as high though. What you get 3 of these guaranteed SSR tickets, so you get 1 SSR in the ticket, 3 UR Stardust, 10 NR Stardust, 3 Soul Crystals, 20 Ethereum, and 20 medal choice boxes again. So there's less useful things in here in my opinion, because I personally don't care about most of this stuff. Like the tickets, don't really care. The Stardust, I don't care about any of the Stardust. Ethereum, I've got most Arks at max, or pretty much everything max already, so I don't really care about too much. Same thing with Soul Crystals and stuff, like yes, kind of useful, but the only reason you're going to be buying this is for the ticket. So I don't know if they're worth getting. I would say try not to buy them if you can help it, because it's random. It's a 50% chance of getting the one that you want, and if you get the dupe of the one you already had, you're just going to be so disappointed. So I try and prevent that from happening if possible, and if you want to risk it, that's on you. I'm not giving advice to buy it, because that is bad advice. If I say go buy this, no, that's terrible advice. I would never do that. So just be careful is all I can say. I can't say if it's worth it or not. It's just depending on the situation that your account is. Let's say you've used every single one of your tickets by the end of the collab, and you don't have either one of your units. You're still missing both units. Then in that case, buying this to get 1 unit guaranteed would be worth it, because you know 100% you're getting something new. But if you already have one, that's when I would consider thinking about if it's worth it, because you're probably going to get a dupe. Like, just think about it before you consider doing that. So yeah, that's just what I think about it. I have thought about it, like yesterday, like I kind of want to get it because I want to get everything, but I don't want to, you know, be stupid with crystals. So I know what I'm going to be doing today, I think, is probably just trying to pull as much as we can and only get those packs if I'm I get terrible luck and I'm missing both of something or something like that, but I'm probably not going to buy them. That's what I think. I'm probably just going to try and do it the smarter way, hopefully. And also, there's no ticket in the shop for part 3 either, so think about that. These don't include part 3, and if part 3 ends up being better or has something that you want, then you may want to save your paid crystals for that instead. That's just something to think about. That is next week, so you don't have to wait long for that. So, I think I've done enough talking for 2 hours for the moment, which is quite a long time, and I haven't even gone to the summons yet, so kind of what I expected. This stream's going to be quite long, but it's fine. Let's start doing some summons now. I'm going to be using all my tickets first. I farmed every single ticket I can possibly get in the event, just to have a higher chance of getting something, but I don't always get something from tickets. It rarely happens, so I'm expecting nothing from tickets, but who knows, maybe there'll be something new. Obviously I would love to pull everything, but the main things that I want from this collab are everything from part 1 and Albedo. I don't care about the part 2 arc really, so if I pull the part 2 arc, I will be a little disappointed, but not that disappointed because it's still a decent arc. It's not bad, it's just I would rather have something else. So let's start this. I hope this doesn't go terribly for me. Let's start with the 3 first and then start doing 10 pulls. I would really love to get both units and part 1 arc. That's the 3 things I want the most, because the units seem like they're both going to be very strong. Obviously nothing in here, definitely not. There's always a chance that something can randomly turn red. First 10 pull of the day, definitely not the last. So my plan is to use all my tickets and then go to the step gacha and do the step gacha and then see where we're at. This one's a gold, so maybe, but it needs animations, so I don't have any hopes yet. 1, 2, maybe 3 animations. There's a red. Can you be new, please? I'm looking for units or an arc, because this is part 1. So on this part 1 banner, I would love to get the unit and the arc. Anything from part 1 that's new is what I would love to get, but obviously it's going to be a dupe of something I've had many times. The dupes in this game always happens all the time. Let's make this interesting, right? I'm gonna leave this temple ticket for the moment. I'm gonna do these on this one now. I'm just gonna skip this, probably, unless the rear shows up. No. And then we'll do this temple. I'm hoping this gives a unit. Part 2, I'm looking for unit, not arcs. Just unit. Blue, I don't like seeing blues. Unless you are arcs, but obviously you can't do that anymore. Boo. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to go up because I only had 2 animations with no blue. Well, that's sad. That's disappointing. At least there were reds in there, but honestly, if it's not new, I just ignore it. Let's do this temple ticket. I doubt any of these tickets are going to give anything. I don't get anything from tickets that often. I have in the past sometimes, but not 9% of the time. Well, 70% of the time or something. It doesn't really. Blue, not very good. It kind of needs 3 animations here. I mean, if there's 2, there's still a very small chance there could be a red. Like, there's still a chance. 1 is not enough. 2 is a maybe, but probably not either. 3 it could be, but it's not guaranteed either, because, yeah, like I said, it's only blue to begin with. You get more luck when it's a gold, secretly hoping for something to turn red, but there's nothing there. Okay, kind of what I expected, honestly. I tell you something, I will be pulling on part 1 more than part 2, because I prefer part 1. Let's use the part 2 temple ticket, and then that's all the tickets. Obviously, nothing from tickets is pretty much what I expected. Can we get Albedo from this? I would love it if that would be the case, because then I can finish with part 2 and not worry about it, but that's not going to happen. The Rhea. Don't be a... It's a blue. Damn it. I hate seeing blues. Can you please at least go red this time? Please, do it. No, it doesn't. That's crazy. Well, it's not. I expected that to happen, unless something can turn red randomly, but it doesn't always happen, so... Okay. Tickets are terrible. All the time. For me. Not always, but... Let's do Step Gacha. Part 2 first. Just because I feel like it. I kind of want to get part 2 out the way. Try and get Albedo. Only going to watch it if it looks promising, but that one's not. I'm only doing lap 1, because lap 2 is where it gets expensive. I don't want to do that. This one's 3, that one's 6. The first lap is always worth doing. Someone show up, please. That's better. That's not. That's not good. See? I've done many pulls in this game to know when something looks bad, and that looks bad. When Theria's by herself, don't bother. Okay, let's do this last step of this part 2, and then we'll go back to part 1. Obviously nothing here unless it's... no. Terrible. Awful. I'm gonna try and be smart with crystals, so I'm trying to not waste too many, but I want to still try and get as much as possible, which is difficult. Come on, I would like the most of the luck to go on part 1. No. I'm gonna watch it anyway, quickly. Yeah, no. I'm trying to not pity anything. The rear. Nope. There's a blue again. Damn it. I don't like seeing blues. Skip. Yeah, again. Expected. Haven't had many reds from these. Kinda sad. But if something is new, it's guaranteed to be one of the collab things, because I have everything else. So, this is the last cheap summon, right? Which also sucks. Yeah. And everything else from this point is going to be, I think, free crystal summons. Because I don't really want to spend any more paid crystals. But what I might do is 110 pull on each banner just to try and get the paid equipments. Honestly, I'll do this one first. This will get me to 21 credentials. Well, screw you. I'm watching it anyways. I don't care. Great way to waste my time. 3 animations and not even a red. Wow. Okay, that's that one. I don't know if I want to get any of Ainz paid equipments at the moment. I know Albedo's paid equipments are more interesting to me. I'm going to be doing 3 crystals on part 1. Yeah. Because I'd like to get Ainz in the Ark, if possible. So, we may be here a while. I really hope not, because I need to get... I don't want to waste too many crystals, because there's going to be a part 3 as well. Zekis, this looks... awful. 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 Terrible. 3 animations. Yeah, I knew it. There could be a red randomly, but rarely. I'm still thinking about what should I do with my medals. At this point, oh, come on. Well, there you go, but that doesn't mean anything though. No, 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 no. Disappointing. Oh, I'm not even watching that. This is awful. Really makes me want to do the paid guaranteed ticket, but I won't, because knowing my luck, I would get a dupe of the thing that I get from that ticket, so I don't want to do that at the moment. And I could always do the paid single pulls, because that's a thing as well. This is awful. I at least want to get something, right? Really? Lilibet? But Lilibet sucks. See, she sucks. I hate seeing blues. Yeah. Yeah. And you go red. And that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I meant something else. I'm probably gonna keep alternating gachas, but still thinking about it. Yeah, that one, part 3 tickets. Got a couple of those. Don't know how many medals we have so far, but I already know that's awful. Because I should have at least gotten one thing by now. Which sucks. Because there are 2 rate up things in each banner. I'm saving those for the moment. But that's a smart thing to do, just in case. I haven't done many in this one. I'm probably going to do a bit more in part 2 now. I think I will at least get Albedo at some point, so I'm going to get her paid weapon now, I think, just by skipping these. I believe we only need to do 4. That should be 25 credentials already. For one of them. But I don't even have anything, so like, yeah. Ugh. Awful. I'm probably gonna have to do some singles just to maybe hope that works better, because like I don't have any other ideas right now. It's just the temples don't work. Temples don't work. I don't like temples anymore. They're awful. Really? Well... 3 animations, no one showing up, it being gold, does go to red. I need a unit that's new. That has to be, right? Finally, I got summoned. Great stuff. Now I believe I now have Albedo with enough credentials to get her paid. One of her pays only. So here's what I'm going to be doing right now. I don't want to pawn part 2 anymore because Albedo was the only one I wanted from part 2. And I don't want to, I refuse to pity the Ark. So I'm going to be spending my medals on tickets. I can get one of these. I'm probably going to get the Arks, but not yet. I'm just going to trade for some of these tickets because I'm not going to be pitying anything from that one. I'll use those tickets now because why not? Obviously not going to get anything from tickets. Don't really need anything anyways. I might as well watch it, but it's only 3. I'm only going to watch if it's... No. Had to be more animations than that one. So, part 1 is the only banner that I have left to pull on. Kind of considering... I think if I can get the unit, that would be great. Or the Ark or something, that would be great. I really kind of need something from this banner, honestly. Yeah, I got Zero's Ark. It took like 130 or something, but it wasn't too bad, honestly. I might do a couple singles just to maybe... I don't know. Make this banner more lucky, somehow. I prefer singles. I don't like temples. Temples suck. No. Gold. No. That's not... Yeah, that's the thought. So, when no one shows up, instantly skip, because it's always going to be terrible on a single pull. Only watch if there's Zekus or Thoria in that corner. Everyone else isn't good enough. Maybe a little bit with a gold. Nah, even then it's not. Blue is a blue, so that's a skip because there's not going to be anything in there. It's awful. I'd like to get one thing. I could use my medals on tickets, but that just feels dumb. This one could be something, but it could also just be a gold and be nothing, which is what is most likely the case. Nice. Thanks for subbing. Actually got some good subs now. Don't... I would like to see a red that isn't a dupe from this banner, because this banner sucks. I hate this banner. This banner's awful. No. Well, maybe, but this one's gold, isn't it? This one's gold. I bet you... Yeah, I bet you everything that is... Wait a minute. Ark. No dupes. No dupes. It's a dupe. Is it? Yeah, of course. Of course it does that. I don't get surprised anymore just because I expect it to happen. Because it's just normal. Like, I've got most things in the game that, of course, going to be a dupe because the rate up isn't enough. Like, I'll just start skipping a couple because this is stupid. I don't want to be here all day either. Well, I'd love to, but I wouldn't actually because then I have no crystals left. I can't get anything from this banner. This banner sucks. I might have to do a temple again, honestly. Yeah. I'm gonna check the trading space again just because. Ainz is gonna be the death of my wallet. I swear. Yeah. I mean, almost 100. It's telling me to do one more single ball, isn't it? Wow. Exactly what I'm gonna do. 100 exactly gives me nothing. Nothing. See? Ugh. Gold. No. Just thinking, I haven't seen a red pop up there in quite a long time now, thinking about it. Yeah, of course that would be a gold, but kind of what I expected. Oh, come off it. Why can't you be new? Like, you should have been Ainz, and then I would have been done for the moment. It would have been great. Don't be a blue. Gold. Okay, it's better, but it doesn't mean anything because I've been trolled before and I'm not being trolled for the 10th time ever. 1, 2. It has to be a red. There's no way there's not. Yeah, I thought so. Can you be new? Like, I'm tired of these dupes. I'm tired of these dupes. Very tired of this. If I just don't say anything, do I get better luck? The answer is no. Well, no. Okay. There's the Ark. That's great. I think I should stop now. Like, I've reached the point where I don't think I should do any more polls. So, that was a lot of summons. I think I know what I'm gonna do at this point. Actually, I don't know what I'm gonna do. What am I gonna do? Do I spend my medals Or do I not spend medals? I don't know. I still want to get Ainz at some point, right? But it would take 110 more. Or you go for tickets. Well, difficult, honestly. So here's the thing, right? Is I got one thing from each banner, but it wasn't what I initially planned, right? Because I've got this arc, part 1 arc, part 2 unit, right? Which isn't ideal because now, if you look at these guaranteed tickets in the shop, right? They are both now a 50% chance of getting something. And I don't like chances. And I'm not doing it, I'm just pointing it out there that both of these right now are 50% chance because I've got one of each. One unit, one arc. And in the worst case scenario, get a dupe of each one. And that would suck, that'd be the worst thing ever. But kind of considering getting a unit ticket maybe towards the end of the collab, but I don't like risking the 50% chance, so probably gonna try and not do that, maybe do some more free single pulls. I'll do a couple singles and try and get one more red, because I always say this, like one more red and then we'll stop, so more content. Gold. No. So, looking for a unit. The last 10 pull could have been the unit and the arc, but it was Meredy. Sad. Disappointing. Yeah, I'm gonna get one more red, and then I'm not going to go for Ainz fully today, right? I'm gonna be trying to get him from tickets and the daily paid pools. And if I don't get him from there, then I don't know, really. Unit. Boo! I hate you. This sucks. I wanna leave. Okay. Sister. I still need crystals for part 3, by the way. Okay. Well, don't need to worry about that anymore, do I? He's still talking. Cool. Well, here's the good news, right? I don't have to pity anything. So, it's not that bad. Well, you should have done... Why didn't you walk away like 5 minutes ago? 10 minutes ago? Then you did that, and I would have gotten it sooner. I bet. Of course. Now at this point, I should just get a prism. And the rest can be tickets. This arc, like I said earlier, it would be nice, but I'm not too fussed about it, so I am not pulling for it today. I'm just going to be trying to get it from tickets and maybe do some daily single pulls while I wait for the part 3 banner to come out, but it's good that I don't have to worry about part 1 because I really wanted everything from part 1 and I kind of gotten everything I wanted, so I can't complain, even though it was a hell of a lot of pulls. How many? Like 200-ish? Well, 200 for those 3 things are actually not terrible. That's probably kind of average, isn't it? Let's use those tickets, and then we'll be done with summons for today and not doing any more. I'll just skip these. Doesn't matter what it is at this point. Well, well, yeah, but I mean, I can't complain, because if I used my medals earlier for tickets, it probably just would have been nothing, and then I would have had no medals for pity. So I was doing the smarter thing. Yes, I could have used my pity medals sooner, but how the hell would I know? You can't say, I can't predict the future and go like, oh, these 3 tickets are gonna give me this. No, don't happen like that. You wish could, but not gonna. Yeah, I'll leave that now. Let's put them in the team. I don't know if I need you or if I should use someone else, honestly. Okay. Well, getting both of the units is pretty damn good. I do love getting the units because I think they're both going to be very good. Very useful units, for sure. And I hope part 3 isn't terrible, because if I get terrible luck in part 3, I'm kind of screwed. Okay, so there are some things that I would like to do at the moment, like showcasing the units and stuff. I will be doing them one at a time, and obviously I'm going to be doing it in order. So part 1 first, then part 2. So first of all, we will be focusing on Ainz first, and then I will showcase Albedo afterwards. Obviously I should go to the Steam version now, right? Let's do that quickly. So the only thing I can say is I haven't had to pity anything in a while, which is a good sign, but it makes me worried that eventually the game's going to say, no, you have to pity this. I'm worried about that, because it happens sometimes. It costs too much, but whatever. So, right now, let's focus on Ainz for the moment, start building him and trying him out, see what his damage and stuff is like. Do the unit test play quest in a moment as well, but I will try him out in the normal stage first, just to see what's normal damage would be like. And then Albedo afterwards, because I think she'll be interesting, but honestly with Albedo, it is going to be harder to test her fully, because her main maximum potential is going to be in PvP, and she is a tank. So it's going to be more difficult to showcase Albedo really, but Ainz will be a lot easier to showcase. Sure, magic damage 1%, not terrible, it's something. Should be able to get everything else. Okay, so with equipment recommendations, right, it's kind of easy, because first of all, he's got staff boost skills, right, and robe giga boost, so you pretty much want to use a staff and a robe like all the time with Ainz, because if you don't use a robe, like, what the hell are you doing? Because he's a mage, and this will give you 15% magic damage just from having a robe, so even if your robe's terrible, just still put a robe on, because this will give you 15% magic damage, so have no reason not to. The only other, reason behind it, I guess, is if you want to try and make him a physical damage dealer, but I still think it's probably a bad idea because he's a mage, first of all. So let's have a look at equipment options. As you can see, you can only equip a staff and a robe and accessory, so the game is literally telling you what you should be using right here. So it's very simple with this guy: staff, robe, accessory, because the game just tells you that. You can't even equip anything else. It's pretty easy. So obviously for a staff, I don't have any of his paid equipments at the moment, and I don't think I'm going to get any unless he turns out to be incredibly strong in PvP or something. Maybe I'll change my mind on that, but at the moment, 100% his best option will be this staff, if you have it, because it gives 35% magic damage, and I just love this one because it's all magic damage, and I just use that on most units, most mages, so definitely going to be using that. But obviously if you don't have that, what you should be looking for is just any staff that can give magic damage in general, just because he has multiple different elements on his magic spells, and he's got a non-attribute spell as well, so if you have anything that increases a specific element damage, then it's not really going to do as much, unless you could use something like this, right? Only if you're building for a full fire damage mage, because you could use his fire spell with this staff and that will be pretty damn good for sure. But obviously you would not use this if you were using his non-attribute spell or any other element, so I would say it really depends on what build you're going for, but the easiest one to use is obviously this one, because you can just put it on any build because it's all magic damage all the time. But if you're going for a specific element, then just look for that if you have that, like that one. There isn't really anything that gives non-attribute damage for staffs, and there isn't that many good staffs in general. I just like using that. Let's see if there's anything else here, just in case. Non-stacking damage, hitting attribute weakness, could be something like, if you're newer, you should have some kind of staff to use that gives something, like even something that gives 10% magic damage is still worth using. Non-stacking magic damage, just remember the non-stacking magic damage won't apply to his stacking magic, because obviously it's stacking. So his non-attribute magic is stacking, which means he won't get any damage from the non-stacking magic damage. This one just gives 10% magic damage all the time, so it's just something. Like, if you don't have anything at all, then maybe. Something like this I wouldn't recommend just because it does not include non-attribute. This only increases Fire, Ice, Earth, Thunder, so it doesn't increase any damage for his non-attribute magic. Kind of just look, I would just prefer something that gives magic damage. That's what you're looking for, anything that gives magic damage. Even Heaven's Cry, maybe, if you want more crit damage. I should get that God Forge, but I just haven't been bothered because I just never use it. So, yeah, there aren't that many staffs, honestly. Just go for something that gives magic damage. That's pretty much all I can say, because it's pretty simple how you should build this guy. The only other case where you would not be using a staff is if you're going for a physical damage build, but even then you could use Kingdom of Science Flag, because this greatly boosts physical damage based on intelligence, so this would be pretty good for him if you're going for a physical damage build, but I just don't recommend it because his magic damage potential is going to be way better than his physical damage potential. And for robes, well, robes, again, we don't have too many, but number one robe that I was thinking of is this one because it just gives magic damage. I would probably just use this all the time on him, I think, because all of his magic is going to get 25% more damage, so I love this one. Even gives you some silent resistance too, if you need some of that, which he kind of does. Even though he has nil to silence already, the +1 above nil will help, so then he can never be silenced when he's up against a La Bref, unless they're using a Nullamelf as well. So this is a very good robe on here for sure. I'm probably just going to be using that like all the time, so these two are just very good in general. Probably just going to run those, but if you don't have that yet, definitely try and focus on getting that. But if you don't at the moment, then look for something else that can give magic damage. This one's actually not bad. All attribute magic damage, 15%. I don't think that will include non-attribute because it's all attribute, and non-attribute doesn't count as an attribute. Well, sometimes it's weird, but yeah, this could be okay. Continuous MP regen, I don't think he needs that. Anything down here that gives magic damage? Not really. MP, if you need more MP, then maybe. Because MP will be useful. Dark attack damage, nah, don't think so. Maybe. But yeah, there isn't that many options. He already has undead type, so this just gives him another revive, which you're probably just better off using magic damage robe. So yeah, you're kind of limited on options now I look at it, but make sure to use a robe because no other armor gives magic damage, and it does have robe boosts, you know, skills to give some magic damage, so you're better off using a robe to give at least something. So I'm definitely going to be using these two, but if you don't have those, then just try and look something that gives magic damage, or focus on one specific element and go for that. Or just put on any robe that gives good stats. That's like the last option, is go for something that has high MP and high intelligence. If you literally have nothing with a good trait, that's always the thing you should be doing. Now for accessories, I think there will be a lot of good accessories options for him. It really depends on if you're focusing on a specific element. So if you're going for instance, non-attribute magic, then obviously you'll go for non-attribute damage for an accessory, and same thing with fire, or any element you want to focus on him, but his two tier magics are non-attribute and fire, so those two are probably going to be what people are going to be building for, maybe. That's what I think. Nightmare Hat is always a good one for damage, even though it makes your magic cost more. But honestly, I wouldn't use it on him just because his MP cost is already too high. It's already very high, so I wouldn't use that on him. Isn't the best. I would probably prefer something else. Maybe a revive accessory, or something that gives magic damage. That's probably what I would think of using. Yeah, this one gives non-attribute damage, right? And earth damage, so this will also apply to your Nether Tempest magic. And this gives 60 MP, and as you know, MP is useful for a mage, of course. And the element resistance is very useful too, resistance to stun and illness, so overall just a pretty good accessory for him, I think. And I am considering that one maybe, but I know there are some other ones down here. This one gives fire magic damage. If you're going for a fire build, you could use that. Obviously any accessory that increases damage to a specific enemy type, obviously that's gonna work for a mage too. This one gives MP. I always like that, but that is a quite a limited thing, so accessory, so you won't always have that. This one gives fire and ice attack damage, so another decent one. This one's obviously going to be probably one that I would definitely use, because when you're hitting a weakness and when you're hitting anti-type damage, this is mostly going to be useful for your fire tier spell, but it won't do as much on your non-attribute spell just because you can't benefit from attribute weakness from that. But it's still going to be solid, so I would recommend that one if you have it, just because it's pretty good. Anything else? There should be some stuff down here. Non-stacking, yeah, you don't really want anything like that. That's better on Lilahar, but she is better at non-stacking. But if you want Ainz to use non-stacking, you could use it. You could use non-stacking magic. It is an option. It's just it's not going to be as good as his tier magic spells. Obviously if you're up against divinity types, that would be great. Ice attack damage and intelligence. If you're going for an ice build or something, maybe. This one, I like that one. This one was recent, I think. Fire, ice, earth, thunder, magic damage, and damage cap. It's solid. I mean, there are better options than this, but it's an accessory, which is not bad. But it only gives those elements, so I probably would use something else. And that's pretty much all the accessories I have favorited, so let me have a proper look at this. First of all, I'm going to be going for just damage in general. So what I should probably do... I'm pretty sure there's like hardly any accessories which give just magic damage, right? They're usually just a specific attribute. And I do like the sound of Desert Rose, so I'm probably going to use that one. And then I don't think I need a casting accessory, really. Just have a quick look and see if there's anything else useful. Yeah, there isn't really that much for just magic damage in general. I could just go for this for more fire and ice damage. Sure, this isn't a perfect build, I'm just going for this for the moment. The weapon and the armor are two very good ones and probably what I would consider using all the time. But the accessories can be something else completely, because these are not the best ones. I'm just using this for the showcase. But Desert Rose is a very nice one if you're focusing on his non-attribute magic damage. So I'm going to be using this for the moment. Obviously, if I were to use him in Arena, I would probably go for a Revive accessory. And the other one would probably be damage focused, maybe Desert Rose, depending on what build I'm going for. So his Ark accessory, I believe, is the one that gives more damage depending on how many undead types are in your team. So that one's okay. You could use that. I should get that in a moment. I think I will do that. Currently, Ainz has 3000 intelligence, which is pretty good. I haven't even awoken him yet, so let's do that. Honestly, could do with more MP. I was hoping he would have high MP just because his spells have a lot of MP to cast. There we go. $3,500 intelligence already. Doesn't even have, you know, Sixth Enhanced skills, and he's only level 100. Pretty nice, honestly, at the moment. Might as well use that. Prism. yeah, so I'm going to be trying him just with base 5th enhanced skills and that setup and see how that works. Going to be using a different arc. Let's have a look at the limited arc first though and level that up. I should do that. Yeah, this ring boosts skill and magic damage based on number of undead type allies. This is only allies, so remember that. I'm not using it for the moment, but yes, it can be good. It's decent for accessory. It's pretty nice. I have one of those, so I might as well use it. I don't think I have any reason not to. Nice. Yeah, so you can do this now, which does save some time. That's pretty good. I'm definitely looking forward to taking advantage of the ruler of Nazarick and, you know, Overlord and stuff. Intelligence Plus. This is all going to be great stuff to mess around with at some point. I definitely want to use this in PvP, like Arena, as soon as possible. It's going to be fun. So, let's put on an arc on Ainz and try him out. I would probably put on Lilahar, Amgel, because it's pretty good for magic damage. I mean, you could use anything, it doesn't have to be that one, I just like using that one. You could even use the limited arc, because that does give more magic damage, but it costs more, so I'll just go with this for the moment. Try it out. So let's see how much damage he's doing. Obviously he's probably going to be killing the enemies quite easily, but I'm just really curious what his damage looks like. Now I think about it, I think his damage is going to be pretty high because he has Human Geyser. So because of that, he should be hitting pretty damn hard, and should be killing the enemies like in 1 or 2 spells. So these enemies are definitely going to die so easily, I think. Use his Charisma first. Well, actually, I won't even bother with that. It doesn't even matter. It just gives physical damage, HP cap. Does give him more HP too. So first of all, I'm going to try just a normal spell, so Absolute Zero, right? Yeah, it doesn't do that much, kind of what I expected. But now, Hellfire. Oh god, that's a hell of a lot more, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. Well, you can definitely see the difference there, at least. The tier magic hell of a lot more damage compared to the, you know, non-stacking magic. It does make me question why the hell does he even have Absolute Zero, Never Tempest, and X Radia in his kit if they're just not going to be doing that much damage, you know, like why do they put them in there? Because they're just not going to be doing very much compared to Hellfire and True Dark. These could have been tier magic, or they could have put more tier magic in or something. Would have been nice. Let's do this again, because that was pretty quick. So yeah, he was already hitting damage cap, pretty much what I was expected, but only on his stacking magic. Might as well try Never Tempest. It's probably going to be just about the same, not that much damage, right? Yeah. 20,000. Well, obviously the non-stacking magic damage isn't that much, but now you can do this at the same time. Wow. I love that. Yeah. Oh wait, there is one thing I want to try. Hang on. I need to do this. Let's do this again, but guess what? I need to use his buff to give a 300%, well, 300,000 damage cap. This will be funny. I want to see this. It's gonna be great. So prepare for big numbers, I think. It's probably gonna be a lot. So here's what you do. Go to the goal of all life is death, right? And use it. And now you have to wait. Like, it didn't do anything, right? Now you have to wait until it reaches 12 seconds. Nine. And you'll notice buff. Right there. That's cool. So now he's got this buff. And now... Wow. That isn't even hitting damage cap too. It could be a hell of a lot more than that. Now I want to try that again with the fire one this time, because the fire spell seemed to hit quite a bit more than an attribute spell, which I should have expected that, honestly. The weight, and it's very obvious when you get it, because it does this effect over here. That one time thing. And now, let's use Hellfire. Okay, they moved, but there's still a lot. I do like Hellfire. That's cool. I do prefer Hellfire a bit more than True Dark, but that's because, as you can see, Hellfire has damage cap plus 15,000 here. So that is why True Dark's not doing as much in terms of damage cap. But True Dark kind of makes up for it because it has more hit counts, even though it costs a bit more. I do love that. I love new spells. Always my favourite. So what I should do next, I want to go in the unit test play quest, right? So then I can properly test his skills and see what his damage is looking like there. But before I do that, I'm kind of curious what his damage is going to look like when he's not hitting Slayer damage. So I'm going to try him against God type enemies. But I expect it's not going to be that great. But that's, most units would do that. I want to see how hard it's hitting in this one. Yeah, we have no idea what part 3 unit's going to have, so I'm just, you know, it's definitely best to wait. They're still pretty good, and it's not even Slayer damage. What about Hellfire? Yeah, Hellfire, I prefer Hellfire. It just feels like it hits harder than True Dark, honestly. He could have faster casting speed. Now I think about it. Which will make his paid robe a bit more useful, but I still don't think that's worth it. You could just use a, you could use an accessory for that. Actually, let me do that. So go here, put on this one. This will give even more attack magic casting speed, so now it's going to be even faster. I want to see that. I could try one of these first. Yeah, now it's pretty much instant. So, by the time that he finishes, you know, casting that one and cast the next one, the magic spells are already finished, so they're so fast that he can't really stack them on top of each other. I don't know if you could have even more casting speed if that would change anything, but I wouldn't think so. Like, yes, you could definitely do a non-stacking spell and then do a stacking spell and then just kind of alternate that. Might be a good idea. So now let's go into the unit test play quest because I want to see him in there, try him out a bit more, and then I will have a look at Albedo next because that'll be fun as well. So he's obviously got all his paid, and these two are kind of interesting because that does like nothing, and this just gives damage cap. Let's just see if he even hits damage cap in here with these. He should do, right? Yeah, but you can see the damage cap's kind of terrible. Like, this is with all base skills, Sigmund Hearts included. 47,000. Very bad. Like, Lillahar does more damage cap than that and even has double hit counts. Now, Hellfire and True Dark should be a hell of a lot better. So you can see it shoots out fireball thing and explodes. It's cool. Let me try spamming this. Oh yeah, I forgot he has casting speed in his 6th enhance, so that's why mine wasn't casting that fast. So it can be faster. Cool. Let me use this and then wait. Wait, and right about now, yeah, then go for Hellfire. 438,000 per hit. Crazy, ridiculous. I know you can only do it once per quest, but like, it is still funny to see that. It's great. I definitely want to do a bit more testing in here before we move on to the next unit. So I do definitely want to try out his physical damage and skills just in case there's anything interesting there. I'll try that in a moment. I also want to try out his special with this as well and without it, so let's do that. So first of all, I'm just going to use a special without any buffs at all. So just use this now. Base kit and everything should be pretty cool, but I don't think it's going to hit that hard, right? It shouldn't. Well, let's not. 89,000 per hit with 46 hits. I mean, yeah, it's kind of meh, like whatever. But now, use this. Then you wait again. You wait. Play like some waiting song or something. Elevator music. That's what I'm looking for. And now we use it. And now look at the difference. This will be funny. I don't think he's even hitting damage cap here either. No, he's not. So that's kind of weird. He's not hitting damage cap on his special in the unit test play quest. Sure. Well, that basically tells me that he does need quite a lot of special damage skills if you want him to be hitting hard on his special. So, if you want a special damage and get that massive damage cap boost from this and have a massive damage special, then you're going to need like the special damage boost skills, like special damage boost 1, 2, and so on, because they're going to be pretty necessary. And obviously you can put on different arcs, like El Javana for more special damage. I don't know if that's necessary, but maybe. So, I guess I can try out his skills. I am not expecting much from this, but I just want to at least have a look. Normal attack. Pretty much, like, what can you expect from this? Just 2 hits. Skill 1. He dodged that one. It seems pretty fast, you know. The damage is obviously, hang on. Yeah, damage is awful. The damage is terrible. But 7,000. It's got like no physical damage whatsoever. But I at least want to have a look just in case. But yeah, at least with base build and everything, its physical damage is like non-existent. It doesn't even. It's just terrible. But I might try and mess around with that in a bit, like with the staff, Kingdom of Science flag and stuff, just to see if I can at least have some that kind of damage. That does hit a bit harder in his skill 1. That's why his skill 1 is non-attribute, so that's why it doesn't hit super hard. Skill 2 is obviously hitting weakness, so doing more damage, and every time I hit a weakness you can see boosted magic is going up, which means he's getting even more damage every time I hit a weakness. Skill 3, I actually really like that. That's actually pretty cool. I like that one, but it sucks because he's a mage. The sound on that's great, and the damage isn't terrible either. I mean, it kind of is terrible, but you know, it looks cool. Yeah, no damage whatsoever. But damn my ears. Let's just kill him off now. And then I do want to see if he can at least do some kind of damage with physical attacks in a, just to mess around a little bit. And then I will have a look at Albedo afterwards, because definitely need to do that. But there won't be as much testing with Albedo because she is more of a tank, and I'm going to be testing her like physical damage and stuff, which I don't have much expectations for that, but I'm hoping. I have hopes, just no expectations, you know. So I just want to try one thing very quickly. That one thing is can it actually do any damage whatsoever with physical attacks? The answer is probably a big no, but I have to know just in case. And by doing that, I'm just going to be using Prefects of God because it gives you damage and boost skill damage based on intelligence, right? And I also want to use the Kingdom of Science flag, and that's basically the only difference I'm going to be using, right? Just those two differences. And with that, I then want to see if he can actually do any damage. But I also have to use someone with Honey Elixir, so just for this test, I'm going to use you because I know you have some damage buffs too, so let's just try that. My expectations for this, very low. I think it's going to be terrible. Awful. But I have to try it out. Something I have to try, because I wanted to. I could put on more buffs like Theopolis, but I'm not going to worry about that. Maybe I'll try this first and then try Theopolis afterwards, maybe. So, this is going to be terrible, but I have to know. Can I do damage? No. I can't. No, I can't. The answer is no. Kind of what I expected, but I had to try that at least once. Okay, I'll put on Theopolis, and that'll be my final test there, because I just want to see. But that does make me wonder, why the hell did they even put some, you know, physical damage stuff in his kit if his physical damage is going to be non-existent, you know? Like, it could have been some potential there with a hybrid mage physical damage dealer, like Lilahar can do some physical damage, but Ainz can't really do any. Tell you what I'll do. Same thing. Go in this corner. This time I'll use Theopolis. And then I'll use a skill 3. And this, at this point, with all these current buffs active, if a unit doesn't hit their damage cap, then the damage is terrible. So I was going to tell you that before I even press the button. Yes, terrible. Yes, it's awful. I can already say this. Don't use him as a physical damage dealer because it just doesn't work. His physical damage is terrible. Even with all those buffs and debuffs, it sucks. And I just had to test it just in case. But so far, terrible. So don't bother doing that. That's terrible. But yeah, I'll leave that there for the moment. Definitely seems very strong for sure. I will talk a bit more about him in my conclusion towards the end, I think. But I do still need to have a look at Albedo because she looks fun. So yeah, he definitely seems quite strong at the moment. Obviously his full potential will be when he's fully built, but already he is hitting quite hard, but only with his tier magic spells. With the non-stacking spells, he doesn't hit very hard on those, but with Hellfire in particular, this one hits pretty hard. I like this one the most, Hellfire. True Dark can be pretty good too, but Hellfire is my favourite at the moment. Maybe True Dark will be more useful in PvP, who knows. We'll have to wait and see on testing, but at the moment, seems good. I just don't know how viable it's going to be in like PvP yet. Like, I don't think he's gonna be any better than Lilahar, because Lilahar is just so good at the moment. So maybe when Ainz is fully built, maybe he's going to be hitting very hard in PvP, but we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. So let's have a look at Albedo next, and start building her now. So Rainbow Potion, learn all of her skills. I do have enough for one of her paid agreements. I just haven't decided on which one yet. Legal wife, really. That's everything. What's her ward? Interesting. Physical damage cap 600 when you have an axe. It's not bad. Damage caps have definitely been higher than they have been in the past. So for my Albedo build, since she's for this, I'm going to be going for a more physical damage focused build because obviously I'm going to be using her in PvE, and you're not really going to be going for a full tank build for PvE content. So I'm going to be trying to build her as a damage dealer. And you do need to have one axe equipped, only one weapon equipped as one axe, so you definitely need to have one axe to get this trait 1, so you are kind of locked to that build specifically. You can't really do much else, and there are a bunch of, well, there's 2 of these axe boost skills, and there is going to be a 6 enhanced axe boost skill as well, so definitely use one axe. Even if you don't have any good axes, just make sure to use an axe for the damage boosts from those skills and everything, and the trait 1. So definitely the axe I'm considering using for a physical damage build is obviously this one, because this one is like the best one I currently have, gives you 20 physical damage and gives you quite a lot of strength. So I'm going to be using this just because it's the best one I currently have, and there isn't really that many other good axes. Well, this one's okay, but it's earth, so it's obviously going to do nothing for her. She is dark, so maybe that one, potentially, if you have it, is not bad, it's okay, and it is dark as well. And it's for status elements, there isn't really that much here. This one isn't the best, but it is dark physical damage, so I guess you can get away with it, but it is probably something better, right? SCT speed, I know there is another Godforger axe, I think, for this one. I just don't have it yet, because we rarely get units with axes. You can see we don't have many axes in this game. But yeah, definitely go for an axe. There are a couple of Godforge axes, so definitely try and get those. If you have Albedo and want to build her up as best as you can, then definitely try and get one of the Godforge axes at some point, because that would definitely be a good investment for sure. So I'm going to go for this one. That's just the best one I got currently. And now for armors, you could have armor or clothes, right? So for her traits, it says you do need to have an armor, but it says armor equipped won't flinch. So it doesn't. I don't think it specifically an armor. You could have clothes if you want to, but she does have an armor high boost and armor mega boost, so you probably would prefer to have an armor because of this damage taken. Take less damage and more defense. So if you really don't care about the damage mitigation, then you could go for clothes just to boost her damage even further. Or you could just use an armor, but pretty much every armor gives damage mitigation. There isn't really any good armors for damage in general. This one's great. I would consider using this one, honestly. But this one doesn't give any physical damage, which is kind of what I'm looking for at the moment. So for that reason, I'm probably just going to go for something that gives physical damage just for the showcase, which will be this one because it gives more skill damage. But since she is a more PvP focused unit, I would highly recommend to go for a damage mitigation type armor. So anything that gives, you know, physical damage mitigation, we have quite a few of those. Or a Valkyrie's Garb would probably be my favorite one. If you don't have her paid armor, then one of these would be pretty good. I would probably choose Valkyrie's Garb because it's physical and counter damage taken, and boost defense depending on how little HP is. So I would probably use that for PvP. But for the moment, I'm just going for a more damage focused build, so I'm using these two. But if you are using her as a tank in PvP, then this build will be a bit different. Just remember that. The axe for PvP can be, you know, changed, I guess. Like, if you don't care about her damage whatsoever, then you could use like a different weapon just for damage mitigation, but I wouldn't recommend it just because her skill 3 and her kit has potential to do some damage, so you're probably still better off using an axe. Now for accessories, again, it really depends on what build you're going for. Either damage mitigation for PvP and revive accessories, or elements and stuff like that, anything PvP focused, or you go for more physical damage depending on what build you're going for. So since I'm going for more physical damage, I'm going to be looking for accessories which give dark physical damage, and I know there's definitely some very strong ones out there, like World Break Globus is a very good one, and Equilibrium Sphere are the two that I love using all the time. So I'm probably just going to be using those two because I like those. They are very good for physical, well, dark physical damage dealers. I love these two, so I'm going to be going with this build for, this is a damage focused build. Obviously, if you're going for a PvP build, this will be different, because you won't be going for full damage in PvP, I think. I mean, you could try, but she is more of a tank in PvP, so I would probably try it for a hybrid tank / damage dealer, maybe. It really depends on how good her damage ends up being, I think. But I'm going to go with this for the moment. There are other accessory options, of course, but since she's using an axe, there aren't as many as normal. But again, just go for something that gives skill or physical damage if you want, you know, a damage focused build. Pretty simple, really. Like, anything that just gives skill damage can be used on any physical damage dealer, as you know. So spring is great. I love the spring. Archangel's bracelet's great too. You know, just anything like that. This bracelet's great too, so I'm just gonna go with this for now. This one's fine. What's her stats looking like right now? Should be pretty good, right? Not that great, but let's awaken first and see you. Ainz definitely had a lot higher intelligence, for sure. Albedo is more of like a hybrid tank / damage dealer, so kind of what I expect. I'm expecting damage similar to like maybe Lenneth or some kind of hybrid tank / damage dealer. Kind of what I'm hoping for. Expecting. So let's try this out then. Current build with this equipment. I don't have any skills learnt yet. This is just base skills only. Not even 6th enhanced yet, just normal 5th enhanced skills. Because I still need to level them up, but I always try them out at 5th enhanced just because it makes it a bit easier for me. And I always do this. So let's try this out. Use her by herself with Council of 10 just to see her base damage, because I always do this for units. I'm hoping I at least see some damage going, because if there's like no damage, then I'll be kind of worried. But let's try it out. So one thing to keep in mind, she doesn't have any slayers, and she has less damage skills in her kit compared to Ainz, because she's a hybrid, you know, tank / damage dealer. So because of that, I think her damage isn't going to be as good, and you can definitely increase her damage by a lot more with a build, 100%. Let's try her skill 1 first. You know, damage isn't as bad as I was expecting. Like, Ainz level damage was kind of what I was thinking, but nice. He has plus 50 dark resistance, so just gonna ignore that. Well, at least what I'm seeing at the moment, the damage, not bad, but I do really want to try a skill 3, because a skill 3 is what I really want to see. Yeah, that Machine and Stone, yeah, but no slayers against these current enemies. So, Ainz had Human Geyser, which is why he was hitting pretty hard against these guys. Let's try her skill 3 now. This one hits everyone, by the way, but it's only 12 hits, I think, which isn't that much, so I don't know how much damage it's going to do. Probably not that much, but that's cool, though, right? This is very loud, though. Wait, very loud. but it actually hit pretty hard. Makes me scared. Right. Let me try something first. I'm gonna go with a 14, focus on damage. See if her skill 3 can like kill everyone or something. That'd be fun. Something like this. I'll put that on you. You can have this one. Yeah. This should work. Don't need you though. I can just use doesn't really matter who does it. Not really. In that case, I'll just go with this. So this is with a lot of damage buffs in the team. I'm going to use the Arks skills and hope she hits damage cap on a skill 3. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Let's go skill 3. Well, that did hit damage cap. Obviously the damage cap isn't very high. And it didn't hit damage cap against the boss. But, not terrible. I'm just thinking, yeah, her damage cap isn't very high. As a single wheel damage dealer currently at 5th enhance, her damage cap's kind of, you know, not very good. But that is because she is more of a PvP focused unit. And damage caps on PvP units are less important. You can make her work in PvE for sure. If you're struggling and like dying a lot, then she should be tanky to help with that, I think. Let's try and run the unit test play quest next. So this is with obviously paid equipments. Yeah, those 2 accessories that I were using. I do like both of her paids, honestly. They're very nice. Yeah, let's try this. Wait a minute. So the arc she currently has on, I see. Hang on, I see a problem. So you know this enemy has every type, right? Their type. You know the trait on this arc. Physical damage to undead types minus 50%. So she's technically doing 50% less physical damage in this unit test play quest. Did they really think this through? Like, they put this arc, and they put mimicry undead on the unit in this unit test play quest. Like, that isn't very smart, you know? Like, they just shoved it in there like, oh, that's fine. It's fine. No. She's doing 50% less physical damage. Yeah, they never pay attention, because, you know, sometimes they put on, they remember when they had full builds, right, and they had a Slayer and a Killer at the same time. Like, they've done that before, and it's stupid. It's just they shove it together and they don't even bother looking. So, if her damage doesn't hit, if she doesn't hit damage cap, I won't be surprised, because she's doing 50% less physical damage. against this enemy, which is stupid, but she does kind of make up for it because she does have Slayer against this enemy, so it should be fine. Okay, it's not. Yeah, the Ark just kind of ruins this test for me. This unit test play quest is awful because of this Ark trait that 30% less physical damage. Even mine was hitting harder than this. Well, only when fully built with a team she was hitting harder. I just think it's funny. So the lock-on effect really doesn't last very long at all. I believe it lasts like 10 seconds, right? Yeah, about 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds. Seems pretty reliable here, at least. Okay, never mind. I say that and then it doesn't do it. Okay, sure, how funny. Well, one thing, I noticed a problem. And that problem is, the lock-on effect is obviously on her skill 3, right? Which is probably going to require a hell of a lot of SCT. And because of that, you won't be able to use your skill 3 very often. And this is basically telling you, the game telling you, you want to use your skill 3 every 10 seconds, otherwise you're not going to have any lock-on effect. But that's not really an option, because it's just going to require too much SCT just to get her skill 3 back. So I'll show you the special, but you can see it's going to be terrible because look at the amount of hits it does. It hits damage cap, sure, but look at the damage cap and look at the numbers. 15. 15. But she does get a nice HP cap boost, which is nice. She's got even more health. So that's like the main benefit from that, is you get the health buff. Pretty much. Pretty much it. Yeah, I do get that now. So it definitely looks like her skill 3 wasn't meant to be hitting everyone, because it's around her, right? It looks like it's just an effect around her, like it should have been, oh, attack around the unit. But it's not. It attacks everyone. Even if she goes in a corner, it's going to attack it. Even though it's technically not. The animation is... it's funny. Okay, well... I think this is pretty much what I expected, but obviously this isn't the best test because of the stupid Ark trait that gives her minus 50% physical damage against undead types. So, yeah. I mean, I think her physical damage isn't that bad. Like, obviously, you can do something with it, right? Like, you could try to make her a full damage dealer. I think it would somewhat work, like it should be decent, right? Especially if you get her to high SC, then she should be hitting pretty hard, but definitely not as strong as a Telestio because he's a main damage dealer, and as you know, she isn't. So Albedo is definitely not a main damage dealer, but you can... obviously, she can be a hybrid tank / damage dealer if you really want. That's probably her main role. So, I think that's everything I wanted to do with testing for now. And it's been like 3.5 hours. And I really need a break. Like, I need a drink and stuff at some point. So definitely need to finish this up in a moment. And I also need to build both of these units. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly check if there's anything else I want to have a look at, and then I'll do a conclusion in a moment. The support frame. Sure. So, by the way, Lilahar did win the vote, so I'm happy about that. That's great. I'm glad it wasn't Kyle, at least. Let me just quickly show you the event. So, like I was saying earlier, towards the beginning, this event is kind of boring, because as you can see, it's just a typical event. There isn't much to it, there's no world map. It's just do stages, right? Like, yeah, you've got some daily stages, which you can get some good materials with, but it's not that exciting, it's not that fun, because there's no world map, there's not chests to find or anything. Like, I like those types of events that has world map, but this one doesn't have that. There are good things in the trading space. I haven't mentioned this yet, but make sure you get the tickets in the trading space, because there are a couple of part 1 and part 2 tickets in the trading space, so make sure to get those. I've already done that. I did that before the stream even started, so I got 26,000 points, because you can get some tickets from the challenge. If you get 26,000 points, you get the event equipment, and then if you level that up, then you can get a couple of tickets for the gacha as well, so make sure to do those. So, my conclusion for at least part 1 and part 2 for this collab at the moment, I think this definitely seems like it's going to be a good collab. Like, part 1 seems like a very good banner, honestly. Ainz should be a pretty good unit, but there is one bad thing about him, which is that his non-stacking magic, like Never Tempest and those types of spells, they don't seem to hit very hard, and you're definitely much better off using Lilahar if you want non-stacking magic. But what he does best is definitely his stacking magic, his tier magic spells. So his non-attribute spell and his fire spell are quite strong, and that is going to be what you're going to be using most of the time on him. So either focus on fire or non-attribute, or focus on both and just a bunch of magic damage, and he should be doing pretty well, even though they do cost a hell of a lot of MP. So that's something to keep in mind when trying to use him in PvP, is that he needs a lot of MP to work. So we're going to wait and see if he turns out to be any good in PvP, but I don't see him being able to fit in arena at the moment. Probably in guild battles, maybe, but definitely going to require more testing to really see if he's going to be any useful in PvP. I think having stacking magic, definitely useful, because you could have, you know, 2 mages in your team. So you could have Lilahar plus Ainz, for instance, because Lilahar can use the non-stacking magic, while Ainz can use the stacking magic, and they can both do damage at the same time. You could do something like that, because stacking magic is very good, so don't underestimate it. Even though it doesn't hit every enemy, it's still very strong. So I think it's going to be great for sure, and for newer players he's going to be so good for, because the non-attribute magic, you can just use that to clear like almost everything. So I know there's a lot of units that can clear pretty much everything, but he's going to be pretty easy to use, I think, because non-attribute magic you can use against most things, I think, in the story, so that's pretty nice. And the LR Arc on this banner, definitely the best one in this collab so far, not including part 3 yet, because I'll be doing that in the next stream next week. But this arc is very good because of the learnable skills on this one that I mentioned when I talked about it earlier. Ruler of Nazarick is a very good one that's going to be very useful for like a very long time, pretty much forever, because as you know, in this game, arcs are things that pretty much never get outdated, because learnable skills are something that is always unique. So usually when you get a collab limited skill, that is always unique and never gets power crept. That's just how this game works. And this game is different than other games in that sense, because these things can't get power crept because they are limited and collab, you know, and they're just never going to come back as the same skill. And since these can stack with other skill effects, they're just always going to be useful all the time. So I love this one. This is a great arc to have for sure, and that's why I think part 1 at the moment is the best banner to pull on, but that's not including part 3 yet, because I'll be talking about that in the next stream once we get to that. Now, part 2 is a very nice banner as well. We have Albedo, who it seems like she is going to be incredibly good in PvP. I'm going to be quite interested to see how she plays out once she's fully built for Arena. At the moment, I don't know. I'm really hoping she can be tanky enough to survive 0 and do some damage to kill like supports or Lillahars in the backliner. You know, that'd be nice. If she can do that, I think she's going to be a very good unit in Arena, and definitely going to be a meta unit for that, if you care about PvP at all. But if you don't care about PvP whatsoever, then you don't need to worry about Albedo unless you just really like Albedo. That's up to you. But she doesn't do as well in PvE, so if you only care about PvE content, then don't worry about Albedo. And like I said, going back to part 1, Ainz is going to be more valuable if you don't have Lillahar, because having one strong mage on your account is pretty much what you should have, because some mages are required for certain content. And the arc on the part 2 banner is pretty solid. I personally haven't gotten it myself yet, but I do see it being useful. If you do get this, it's not bad, because the Mimicry Maid skill is going to be useful. Maybe the modded Maid Wear can be useful as well, and two-handed axe boost 2 could be good, but obviously Albedo if you want more damage cap. So it's not bad. I just think part 1 arc is 100% better than this one. So far, I think these banners look pretty good to me. Like, obviously these are all limited things, but I just want to tell something to you, like, make sure you're aware of this, is in this game we rarely get, you know, mages, and we rarely get supportive buffs and stuff, right? And tanks. We don't get that as often as typical physical damage dealers. So these types of units, like Ainz being a mage, definitely valuable, and it's going to be used for a long time. Same thing with Albedo. Like, yes, she is a physical damage dealer, but she has a supportive buff in her trait too, which is going to be very handy. It's going to be very nice long term as well. And she's also a tank. So these two types of units are both going to be very good long term. So that's why I think both of them are going to be useful no matter what. You know, but again, if you're deciding on which one to pull on, just wait until part 3 and try and get all your tickets first before deciding. Well, Linus is a bit outdated at this point. Ainz is obviously going to be better. I'll just leave it up to you. Like, that's up to you. But I recommend maybe do a couple of pulls and use all your tickets, and then after that decide. But we do have like 3 weeks of this collab, so you do have enough time to wait. I would highly recommend to wait towards the end, because that's the best time to spend your, you know, crystals and stuff. So just wait for then, and that's the best thing to do. But I didn't do that just because I wanted to try and pull as many as I could early, because I like building them and, you know, messing around with them and stuff. But a typical free-to-play player shouldn't be pulling this early, honestly. You can easily just wait for part 3 and towards the end, and then do your pulls then. But I know waiting is boring. You would rather get it now, but trust me, it's worth it. Like, you'd much rather save your crystals, because you could get a dupe from a ticket later, and that sucks. Never want that to happen. So try and prevent that. There are a couple of tickets in the login event, so make sure to get those. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything from me for now. It's been like 3 hours 40 minutes. Definitely one of my longest streams so far, for sure. I definitely need a break after this, and I will be spending quite some time building both of these units over the next week. and trying out Albedo in Arena and stuff. I definitely want to do that soon. So I'm going to be focusing on building these units. It shouldn't take that long considering we have the, you know, auto set sub-arc feature and stuff like that from the anniversary. So should be pretty good. Shouldn't take that long. So I will be back next week for part 3 for Shaltir, because she seems like she could be interesting. But part 3 won't be as long as this stream, because as you know, this stream I had to cover part 1 and part 2. I will be adding the timestamps very soon. I will have a break for the moment, and then I will add the timestamps later today, so look forward to that if you're waiting for those. And yeah, I'll be back next week around the same time on the Thursday. I don't have any plans, so I'm just going to be doing the same thing I always do on that stream, and you know, that should be fun as well. I am interested to see what that unit and arc has, because there's always potential for collab limited things to have, you know, something very good in, so I'm interested to see what it has. So I'll see you then. Definitely need to have a break for the moment, and then I'll be back next week for part 3. So yeah, thanks for coming. I'll add the timestamps in a moment. See you then.